Chapter 1838. Qianfen had asked around for a way to get to the other continents. There were only two ways to get to the other three continents from the North Sand continent. One was to reach the True Spirit realm and go to the South Flat continent and the West Sea continent. The other was to get a recommendation from a large chamber of commerce. Qianfen had only considered the first method because he only knew about the Soaring Dragon Chamber of Commerce and had a feud with them. They wouldn't send him to the other continents. He had never expected that he would use the second method to get to the South Flat continent. However, he was using the Black Light Chamber of Commerce's aircraft. This was because Qianfen was on the spaceship this time. President Dark Light personally led the team. This intercontinental spaceship could accommodate 10,000 people at the same time and carry 10,000 tons of cargo. However, its speed was not slow at all. In fact, it was even faster than Qianfen's soaring cloud all. At this time, it was flying in the clouds like a rapidly flying mountain. Qianfen sat in the aircraft and couldn't help but wish that he could own such an aircraft. Then he would be able to fly between the four continents of the Divine Continent. However, he knew that such an aircraft was very expensive and would require some high-grade materials to build. At least, he couldn't build it with his current financial resources. President Qin, we'll reach the South Flat continent in half a month. Dark Light walked into Qianfen's room. President Dark Light, please tell me more about the South Flat continent. Qianfen was going to the South Flat continent with a desire for revenge. He knew that it was more suitable for cultivation. When he got there, he planned to find an opportunity to break through. Once he reached the Empty God realm, he would immediately return to the North Sand continent to take revenge. Dark Light seemed to read Qianfen's mind. He sighed and said, President Qin, revenge can't be rushed. I'm even worried if you can survive in the South Flat continent. As everyone knows, the North Sand continent has the least spiritual energy among the four continents of the Divine Continent. It's called the wilderness of cultivation. Although the South Flat continent is the second last, the spiritual energy there is more than 10 times denser than the North Sand continent. In the North Sand continent, 5-star sects are the highest and Empty God realm powerhouses are the top. However, in the South Flat continent, there are many 5-star sects and some 6-star and 7-star sections. Empty God realm powerhouses are not the top there. There are even more powerhouses above the Empty God realm. Qianfen had always known that the South Flat continent was stronger than the North Sand continent, but it was just a general concept. After listening to Dark Light's detailed introduction of the South Flat continent, he couldn't help but worry. He was only at the 7 changes of Buddha aura. Even if he could kill cultivators at the early stage of the True Spirit realm, in the South Flat continent, the True Spirit realm was only considered a mid-tier cultivation standard. At the same time, Qianfen realized something else. He immediately asked in shock, isn't the true God above the virtual God? Rumor has it that a true God realm cultivator is already one of the strongest cultivators in the entire Divine Continent. Could it be that the rumor is false? Dark Light shook his head and said, the rumor is true. The true God realm is already one of the top cultivators in the entire Divine Continent. However, the division of realms you mentioned is passed down from 10,000 years ago. At that time, after the virtual God realm, one would have to step into the true God realm. However, as the Divine Continent developed, it's hard to find a true God realm powerhouse in the 4 continents in 1,000 years. After a few hundred years of changes, the ultimate gods who are also at the virtual God realm are very different. Some of them can even kill other virtual gods in seconds. Hence, everyone divided the realms between the virtual God realm and the true God realm. After the virtual God realm, it's the body condensation realm, cauldron filling realm, disaster transformation realm, true form realm, and finally the true God realm. Qianfen's horizons were broadened. He was also planning to go to the South Flat continent this time. Otherwise, he didn't know when he would be able to learn about the realms after the virtual God realm. If that's the case, the few immortal venerables in the North Sand continent might be at the body condensation realm or even higher? Qianfen suddenly asked. Dark Light smiled bitterly. You're thinking too much. They're also at the virtual God realm, but they're at the late stage or peak stage. They're naturally much stronger than us who are at the early stage of the virtual God realm. Based on the spiritual energy density in the North Sand continent, I personally think that the peak stage of the virtual God realm is the limit. Those who can break through to the body condensation realm are cultivation geniuses that only appear once in 1,000 years. Qianfen slowly felt that his decision to go to the South Flat continent was the right one. Even if the unprecedented battle in the North Sand continent did not happen, he should have gone to the South Flat continent earlier as it would have been faster to break through. Don't worry, President Dark Light. I'll cultivate like crazy in the South Flat Continent. When I step into the North Sand Continent again, I'll repay you for your kindness, said Qin. Dark Light patted his shoulder. Let's not talk about repayment. I actually have high hopes for you because you're the most talented cultivator I've ever seen. The cultivators of the South Flat Continent have always rejected cultivators from the outside, especially those from the North Sand Continent. Survival is the most important thing when you go there. Nothing else matters. Qin could tell from He Yao's eyes that He Yao wasn't optimistic about his revenge plan. In other words, to He Yao, it was already a miracle that Qin was still alive in the South Flat Continent. As for his cultivation breakthrough, it wasn't within his consideration anymore. Of course, Qin knew that Dark Light wasn't looking down on him. This meant that the cultivation sects and factions in the South Flat Continent were powerful. However, when he thought of the hedonist sovereign system and the creation of heaven and earth skill, Qin quickly calmed down. He believed that it wouldn't be long before he became famous in the South Flat Continent. After talking about some matters in the South Flat Continent, Qin began to cultivate in peace. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. When he opened his eyes again, he felt that his dantian was slightly expanding. This was a sign that he was about to break through to the 8 changes of Buddha aura. Qin was puzzled. Under normal circumstances, half a month wasn't enough for him to break through. However, he quickly understood why the surrounding spiritual energy had become so dense. President Qin, you're out of seclusion. Dark Light's voice sounded in his ears. He continued, we've entered the territory of the South Flat Continent. Although we're still in the outermost airspace, the spiritual energy here is 5 to 6 times denser than in the North Sand Continent. Qin suddenly realized that he had arrived at the South Flat Continent. He immediately looked out of the window. The scenery outside was lush and green. He felt that going from the North Sand Continent to the South Flat Continent was like going from the north of China to the south. After a few hours, the intercontinental aircrafts began to land. There were a few huge aircrafts parked at the side of the huge open space. This is the foreign trade port of the South Flat Continent. All foreign aircrafts have to land here and return to their continent after completing the transaction, Dark Light explained. Qin couldn't help but think of the customs and airports of various countries on Earth. At the same time, he realized a serious problem. According to Dark Light, they had to leave after completing the transaction. How was he going to enter the South Flat Continent? Chapter 1839. Just as Qin was worrying, Dark Light took out a paper talisman and handed it to him. This is a level 7 invisibility talisman. Use it to escape during the chaos. We'll meet again. The parting words made Qin a little sad, but it also ignited his fighting spirit. It had been a tough journey. From a powerless hedonistic young master to the peak of China, to the top of the small world, and now he was famous in the North Sand Continent. However, he had to embark on a new journey to face a completely unfamiliar and powerful continent. A black shadow flew past at an extremely fast speed. It was Qin who had activated the level 7 invisibility talisman. At this moment, Qin was extremely nervous. He realized that the cultivators guarding the intercontinental gateway were of terrifying realms. Most of them were at the true spirit realm, and there were even a few nihility gods. What he didn't know was that these cultivators were only average in the South Flat Continent. Fortunately, the level 7 invisibility talisman could block the spiritual consciousness of an early-stage virtual god cultivator. Qin successfully flew out of the border. However, he did not dare to stop. He flew for thousands of miles before stopping to catch his breath. In front of him was a dense forest. Along the way, Qin didn't see many people. He knew that this was the outskirts of the South Flat Continent, a place where no one appeared. However, what shocked him was that the spiritual energy in this abandoned land by the South Flat Continent's cultivators was many times greater than that in the North Sand Continent. Qin did not have a map of the South Flat Continent. He could only walk aimlessly. He thought that it would be great if he could meet a cultivator along the way and ask for the location of the Sand City. Qin had come to the South Flat Continent to do 2 things. One was to find Hua Xianyu and his other friends and relatives who had been teleported to the South Flat Continent. The other was to break through crazily and return to the North Sand Continent to take revenge. Qin realized that Hua Xianyu wasn't the only one who had been teleported to the South Pingzhou Continent. There were probably many other Chinese martial artists and even family members he didn't know about in this land. However, he only knew Hua Xianyu's whereabouts. He had heard it from Al Shen, a disciple of the South Pingzhou Continent's Thousand Swords sect in the Fallen God Sea secret realm. At that time, Qinfen had given Al Shen a lot of medicinal pills in order to let him take care of Hua Xianyu. However, Qinfen could see that Al Shen was a two-faced person, so he didn't have much hope for him. Now that he was in the South Flat Continent, Qinfen tried to use the Heroes Alliance function to call Hua Xianyu. However, after waiting for a long time, Hua Xianyu didn't reply. Later, Little Pig told him that the system had just arrived in the South Flat Continent and was disrupted by the strong magnetic field here. Qinfen immediately discovered something even more tragic. He had lost contact with Lin Bei Bei and the others in the North Sand Continent. Since there was no path under his feet, he would carve a path for himself. After flying aimlessly for 3 days and 3 nights, he finally saw people in the wilderness. He even saw 3 people. "Cultivator, please come over for a chat." When Qin Feng discovered those 3 people, they also discovered his existence. Moreover, before Qin Feng could go over, one of them had already spoken. With a flash of golden light, the flying sword landed on the ground with Qin Feng. After a simple scan, the 3 people's realms were not bad. 2 of them were in the advanced stage of Buddha light, and the middle-aged man who spoke was in the early stage of true spirit. Qin Feng had already realized that their auras weren't strong enough, so he landed. Otherwise, even if he hoped to meet a passerby, he would have left without hesitation. Just as He Yao had warned him before leaving, survival in the South Flat Continent was the most important thing. "Cultivator, where are you from? Where are you going?" The True Spirit Realm Cultivator asked. Qin Feng came here with his original identity and didn't intentionally suppress his realm. He originally wanted to say that he was from the North Sand Continent, but when he thought about how the cultivators here looked down on people from the North Sand Continent, he changed his answer. "I want to go to the Sand City. Can you guys show me the way?" Qin Feng said politely. The 3 people looked at each other and a strange light flashed in their eyes. The True Spirit Realm Cultivator laughed and said, "Ha, we are going to the Sand City too. Why don't you come with us?" Qin Feng noticed the strange look in their eyes, but he still followed them. After all, he was completely unfamiliar with this place. Moreover, even if the 3 of them had any ill intentions, Qin Feng wasn't afraid of them. Along the way, the 3 of them didn't speak much. Or rather, the other 2 didn't speak at all. It was the True Spirit Realm Cultivator who asked Qin Feng a few questions from time to time, and the content of the questions were all basic information about Qin Feng. "Brother Wang, why did you stop?" After walking for an hour, the 3 of them stopped. After talking along the way, Qin Feng found out that the True Spirit Realm Cultivator was called Wang Xiu, but he wasn't sure if the name was real or not. There was a row of houses 100 meters away, surrounded by walls. Qin Feng guessed where this place was, and the 3 people in front of him weren't going to the Sand City. They were most likely planning to bring him here. "Ah, brat, stop pretending. You're not from the South Flat Continent." The cultivator called Wang Xiu suddenly laughed loudly. He was a completely different person from the friendly and amiable look he had before. Qin Feng's heart turned cold. He was sure that the 3 of them didn't have good intentions, but he wasn't afraid. Instead, he felt that the 3 of them were unlucky to have tricked him. "You're right. I'm indeed from the North Sand Continent. But so what?" Qin Feng's expression turned slightly cold. Wang Xiu was stunned. Not only him, but the other 2 Buddha's Light Realm cultivators also revealed surprised expressions. It turned out that the 3 of them were rogue cultivators who had gathered together due to common interests. Usually, they would put the cultivators from the North Sand Continent under house arrest. They had captured over 100 cultivators from the North Sand Continent over the past year. Every time they exposed their identities, those cultivators would tremble in fear. When they looked at Qin Feng again, he didn't seem nervous or afraid at all. An ant from the North Sand Continent dares to step into the sacred land of the South Flat Continent. What do you think? After coming back to his senses, Wang Xiu glared at Qin Feng and a ferocious aura shot out from his body. He thought that the aura of a True Spirit Realm cultivator would scare Qin Feng into kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. Unexpectedly, Qin Feng's expression didn't change at all. Instead, his tone became colder. "We're all cultivators from the Divine Supreme Continent. What right do you have to feel superior to others? You're merely born in the South Flat Continent. This is your innate advantage, but it's not something you can show off." The 3 of them were speechless and looked at Qin Feng as though they were looking at an idiot. "Ah, you're an interesting cultivator. You're obviously a lowly cultivator, but you're still trying to find excuses to prove yourself. Alright, you think that I'm looking down on you North Sand Continent cultivators, right? Then defeat me if you have the guts. Otherwise you'll be my slave for life." The 3 of them could tell that Qin Feng was only at the Buddha's light realm, and they were only looking for cultivators at or below the Buddha's light realm. If there was a true spirit realm expert, they wouldn't take the risk. A true spirit realm cultivator fighting against a Buddha's light realm cultivator made Wang Xiu very confident. He was even waiting for Qin Fen to beg for mercy. He knew that Qin Fen was just putting on a strong front. Indeed, Qin Fen didn't agree to his suggestion directly. Instead, he said, "I won't fight with you alone because you're not worthy to be my opponent. If you want to fight, sure. But the three of you have to come at me together. Otherwise, I won't fight." The three of them were speechless again. When they came back to their senses, one of the late-stage Buddha's light realm cultivators had already punched out. "You're indeed a frog at the bottom of a well from the North Sand continent. I'll teach you a lesson." Since they were both late-stage Buddha's light realm cultivators, that South Flat Continent cultivator was very confident. Logically speaking, South Flat Continent cultivators were much stronger than North Sand Continent cultivators at the same cultivation realm. A loud explosion was heard. Qin Fen didn't dodge. Standing on the spot, he welcomed the attack with a ferocious special-grade Thunder Tiger flying sword fist. The three of them didn't hear the subtle sword hum hidden in the loud explosion. However, when that Buddha's light realm cultivator was about to punch out a second time, their expressions changed drastically. He felt that his body was suddenly out of control. There were also subtle shattering sounds coming from his body. The sounds became more and more intense, and a piercing pain spread throughout his body. The eyeballs of his two companions fell to the ground. They saw his skin crack open, and even his bones and internal organs started to shatter. In a short 2 seconds there was another muffled sound. He had already exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. The air was filled with the pungent smell of blood. The remaining two were stunned on the spot, feeling as though they were dreaming. Wang Xiu was the first to wake up. His voice trembled slightly. You hid your strength?" Bang. Just as he finished speaking, a golden light pierced through the air. Following that, there was a loud explosion. The late-stage Buddha's light realm cultivator beside him also exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. Wang Xiu sucked in a breath of cold air. Although Qin Fen didn't answer his question, the answer was already very obvious. This young guy in front of him was definitely hiding his strength. "Kid, consider yourself lucky. Today's matter ends here. You should leave quickly." Wang Xiu was no longer confident. In fact, he could also kill his two companions in the late-stage Buddha's light realm. However, he couldn't do it as cleanly as Qin Fen. He even suspected that the other party's true cultivation was stronger than his. Thinking of this, Wang Xiu began to wonder again. Wasn't the other party a cultivator from the northern sand region? How could such a young and powerful cultivator appear in that cultivation wasteland that was lacking in spiritual qi? Or did the other party eat a beautifying elixir? When these thoughts flashed through his mind, Wang Xiu found that Qin Fen still hadn't left. He suddenly became a little angry. He pointed at Qin Fen and scolded, "Kid, don't think that I'm really afraid of you. Do you see the row of houses behind me? That is my base. There are many of my subordinates and my big brother guarding it. You are at most in the mid-stage true spirit realm. If you wait for me to call out my big brother and my subordinates, you will die a horrible death." When Qin Fen saw the row of houses, he had already scanned it with his divine sense. He did sense a powerful aura, but it was only in the late-stage true spirit realm. Qin Fen had joined forces with Ouyang Jun in the northern sand region. They had even killed a Nihility God realm cultivator. How could he be afraid of a late-stage true spirit realm cultivator? Chapter 1840. Speak, why did you trick me to come here? What's going on in that room? Qin Fen had not only sensed the aura of a late-stage spirit-detecting realm cultivator, he had also sensed the auras of hundreds of sage kings and Buddha light realm cultivators. There were even a few weak immortal qi realm cultivators. Follow? Dream? For a moment he was puzzled. If everyone in this room belonged to Wang Xiu's faction, then Wang Xiu wouldn't let him off. "I advise you not to ask so many questions. Before I change my mind, get out of here." Wang Xiu cursed. Qin Fen's face turned cold and a strong killing intent radiated from his body. He had killed countless people in the northern sand continent. The moment his killing intent appeared, it felt like it was about to solidify. Wang Xiu subconsciously took a few steps back. He looked at Qin Fen in disbelief. He really couldn't understand how this young kid could have such a strong killing intent. "You want to trick me to come here and you want me to leave? Do you really think I'm easy to bully?" Qin Fen's voice was still echoing when a golden light pierced through the void and arrived in front of Wang Xiu. Wang Xiu immediately sent out a palm strike, and a true yuan palm print knocked the flying sword away. At the same time, he turned into a black shadow and flew towards the house. "Senior brother Wang Jun, someone is here to cause trouble," Wang Xiu shouted as he ran. He was already panicking. Just from that simple exchange, he realized that he wasn't Qin Fin's match. The flying sword was only temporarily knocked off course. When the palm print in the air dissipated, the golden light flashed and the flying sword appeared behind Wang Xiu. A strong aura of death quickly approached. Wang Xiu wanted to dodge, but he felt a powerful divine sense attack. His movements suddenly slowed down, and he felt that the flying sword would pierce his heart in the next second. Bang! There was a loud explosion, but it wasn't the sound of skin being cut. The movement was much louder. Wang Xiu felt the divine sense attack suddenly disappear. His body jumped 100 meters and landed below the wall. "Senior brother, it's that kid who came to cause trouble. He's a cultivator from the northern sand continent." Wang Xiu had just stabilized his footing when he realized that it was his senior brother Wang Jun. At this moment he felt a lingering fear in his heart. If not for his senior brother's timely arrival, he would have died under the sword of his opponent. A middle-aged man wearing a gray robe stood at the entrance of the wall with a cold gaze. After sizing up Qin Fin, he scolded Wang Xiu, "How shameful. A mere Buddha light stage cultivator from the northern sand continent actually scared you to this extent." Wang Xiu had a stomach full of grievances. He wanted to say that the other party had hidden his strength and was definitely not at the Buddha light realm. However, when the words reached his mouth, he didn't say them out loud. At the end of the day, Qin Fin was a cultivator from the North Sand continent. No matter how strong the other party was, being chased and beaten by a cultivator from the North Sand continent was a humiliation in the South Plateau continent. "Brat, are you going to kill yourself or do you want me to do it?" After reprimanding his junior brother, Wang Jun's gaze landed on Qin Fin again. From his arrogant expression, it was obvious that he didn't care about Qin Fin at all. The moment this guy appeared, Qin Fin had already checked him from head to toe. Qin Fin was sure that this guy was the owner of the strongest aura that he had sensed with his divine sense not long ago. He originally thought that the aura was at the middle true spirit realm, but it seemed that the other party had already stepped into the late true spirit realm. With Qin Fin's current cultivation, he was invincible among the early true spirit realm cultivators. Even if he encountered a middle true spirit realm cultivator, he would be able to kill him with a little more effort. However, if he encountered a late true spirit realm cultivator, it would be very difficult to kill him. This was the situation in the North Sand continent. Qin Fin knew that the cultivators from the South Plateau continent were generally stronger than the cultivators from the North Sand continent. At this moment, facing a late true spirit realm cultivator from the South Plateau continent, Qin Fin was more or less on guard. "Perhaps it will be more difficult to kill you, but that's all. If you want to kill me, that's just a fool's dream." Although he was on guard, Qin Fin was definitely not afraid of Wang Jun. Moreover, this guy had displayed an arrogant attitude the moment he appeared, which made Qin Fin very unhappy. A single sentence ignited the flames of war. Wang Jun's face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and a ferocious aura surged from his body. "Senior brother, did you hear that? That ant from the North Sand continent actually dares to be so arrogant. Senior brother must teach him a lesson and let him know what kind of place he is." Wang Xiu felt that the conflict wasn't deep enough and immediately added fuel to the fire. Just as he finished speaking, Wang Jun struck out a palm in the air. A huge true essence palm print rose up and flew towards Qin Fin in the blink of an eye. Rumble. That palm strike missed and left a deep pit on the ground. A golden radiance flickered in the sky and actually flew towards Wang Jun as expected. "You hid your strength. However, you are still an ant in front of me." A look of surprise flashed in Wang Jun's eyes. He realized that Qin Fin had already stepped into the early stage of true spirit realm. Even Wang Jun felt that it was unbelievable for such a young true spirit realm cultivator from the North Sand continent. Just as he was in a daze, thousands of silver spear lights descended from the sky. Every spear light pierced through the air and let out ear-piercing whistles. The spear shadows overlapped and condensed as though they were real spears. "True treasure spear? Kid, you are not from the North Sand continent." Under the thousands of spear lights, Wang Jun's eyes flashed with a hint of panic. He immediately stepped on his flying sword and retreated. Just as he was in mid-air, the ground he was standing on previously gave off a series of loud noises. The wall behind him had been blasted into ruins. Not only was Wang Jun shocked, Wang Xiu was even more stunned. True treasure weapons were extremely rare. Even in the South Flat continent, they weren't commonly seen. Qin Fin, a cultivator from the North Sand continent, actually had such a weapon? Moreover, Wang Xiu and Wang Jun could tell that the Dragon Quake spear in Qin Fin's hands was a high-grade true treasure. This kid was definitely not a cultivator from the North Sand continent. Seeing that his origins were being questioned, Qin Feng laughed in his heart. He was originally a cultivator from the Northern Sand continent, it was just that he was a little special. The Dragon Tremor spear in his hands was obtained from the system after he had subdued the white spirit god bird, and the system rewarded him with a true equipment drawing scroll. In the Northern Sand continent, even a true spirit-level cultivator would find it difficult to obtain a low-grade true equipment. Cut the crap. No matter where I am from, it's enough that I can kill the two of you. Qin Fin's attack missed, so he pierced through the air once again. The Dragon Quake spear let out a dragon roar. As the spear trembled, thousands of spear lights shot out. The spear shadows were as dense as rain and the aura was like that of a ferocious beast. In an instant the entire wall collapsed. Qin Fin didn't expect that he would have to fight so soon after coming to the South Flat continent. Moreover, his opponent wasn't weak either. After the wall collapsed, the situation inside was clear. The courtyard was huge and had over 100 rooms. The style of the houses was similar to ancient Chinese architecture. Many people heard the commotion and ran out of their houses. When they saw that there was a commotion outside, they immediately gathered at the city gates. Chapter 1841. In the blink of an eye, more than 30 people had gathered outside, but this number was completely out of Qin Fin's expectation. He had used his divine sense to scan the rooms before, and there were at least hundreds of cultivators in those rooms. Qin Fin once again suspected that not all the cultivators in these rooms were Wang Jun and Wang Xiu's subordinates. As for who the rest of them were, Qin Fin couldn't figure it out for a while. Although the enemy's forces had increased by 20 to 30 people, Qin Fin wasn't too worried. He glanced at the crowd and found that the cultivators' realms were not high. There were only 2 early true spirit realm cultivators, and the rest were mostly in the Buddha light realm. There were even a few half-step Saint King realm cultivators among them. As the saying goes, newborn calves are not afraid of death. The first to rush up was the group of Saint King realm cultivators. They relied on the fact that their boss, Wang Jun, was in the late true spirit realm, and they didn't put Qin Fin in their eyes at all. Even though they knew that they couldn't see through Qin Fin's cultivation, they still launched an imposing attack. More than a dozen black shadows rose into the air at the same time, holding different weapons in their hands. Suddenly, a row of muffled explosions rang out. Before the weapons in their hands could fall, the shadows had already been blown up by the dense silver spear light. Jiuguan Chinese website. The momentum of the spear was still echoing in the sky, and everyone felt the ground shake. The remaining cultivators suddenly stopped and looked at Qin Fin in shock from dozens of meters away. What realm is this guy in? He actually killed 12 Saint King realm cultivators in one move. Looking at his age, it shouldn't be because his cultivation is high. I feel that the silver spear in his hand is very unusual. No matter what realm this kid is in, he dared to cause trouble here. Today will be the day he dies. The remaining cultivators were basically Buddha light realm cultivators, and the 2 true spirit realm experts had disdain in their eyes. Even if Qin Fin killed 12 Saint King realm cultivators in one move, in their eyes, it was nothing. But these people didn't attack again. They were waiting for boss Wang Jun's orders. When he saw 12 people die tragically under the spear, Wang Jun was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. I don't care which continent you are from, but if I, Wang Jun, don't kill you today, I am not human. Wang Jun's roar shook the heavens like a wild beast that had gone berserk. However, Qin Feng said coldly, although I know you're worse than a beast, there's no need for you to swear to prove that you're not human. Are all the cultivators in the South Plateau state like you? If so, I'll have to reconsider if I should continue staying in this place. These people were all cultivators. Usually if they didn't like each other, they would fight each other directly. They didn't have the habit of bickering. When they heard Qin Fin's words, everyone was stunned. They thought about his words a few times in their minds before they understood. Ayaya. You ain't watch my sword. Wang Jun came back to his senses and stabbed the air with his sword. It was a gold-grade spirit sword and it was a flying sword. When the golden sword stabbed out, it turned into a ray of golden light and disappeared into the sky. When it reappeared, it was hovering above Qin Feng's head. Rumble. A loud sound rang out. It turned out that the flying sword had missed its mark and exploded into the ground, creating a fissure. However, Wang Jun didn't care. With a wave of his hand, another 2 pink flying swords shot out. The sound of wind breaking rang out as the 2 flying swords attacked from the left and right. Qin Feng easily dodged the flying swords, but Wang Jun's move wasn't over yet. With another wave of his hand, another 3 pink flying swords rose into the sky. At this moment, there were already 6 flying swords attacking at the same time. The sound of wind breaking rang out in the sky. The golden and pink rays intertwined, forming a dense sword net. The crowd revealed smiles, excitement, and amazement. Boss is using his ultimate move, the 9 Heaven Sword Art. The last time I saw such a stunning sword skill was half a year ago. Boss was only in the middle stage of the True Spirit Realm, but he killed a late-stage True Spirit Realm expert. Now he's using this ultimate move against a cultivator from the Light of Buddha. That kid should be hiding his strength. He's most likely in the True Spirit Realm. However, no matter how powerful he is, he can't defeat Boss's 9 Heaven Sword Art. Actually, Boss doesn't even need to make a move. I can kill that bastard by myself. Just as everyone was discussing, Wang Jun took out his last 3 flying swords. At this moment there were 9 flying swords flying in the sky. The only golden flying sword was leading the way, while the other 8 pink flying swords seemed to have their own intelligence and followed the golden flying sword. The 9 flying swords were like 9 rays of light, slicing through half the sky. The air was filled with sharp sounds, and just the concentrated sword cries were enough to send chills down one's spine. As the 9 flying swords chased after him, there was a golden ray that flickered. Qin Feng stepped on the golden sword and dodged it. Although he hadn't been injured yet, the flying swords were getting faster and faster, and he was starting to feel a little overwhelmed. When he saw the 9 flying swords attacking, Qin Feng couldn't help but remember that he had met such an opponent in the northern Sand continent. However, that opponent's cultivation wasn't high, and he could only control 6 flying swords at once. He wasn't as powerful as Wang Jun Puchi. A crisp sound rang out. Qin Feng slightly furrowed his brows and subconsciously looked at his right arm. There was a cut on his arm. After the first cut appeared, the sound of his skin being cut came one after another. There were even a few times when the flying swords almost cut him in half. The battle had just begun, but Qin Feng was already at a disadvantage. Wang Jun just stood there and casually controlled the 9 flying swords, making it so that Qin Feng didn't even have a chance to fight back. The smiles on the surrounding people's faces became even wider. This brat is too trash. He dares to cause trouble here with just this kind of strength. He's simply tired of living. Strange, this kind of ant can be killed by anyone. Why would the boss personally come out? I think I heard Big Brother Wang Xiu's call for help, so the boss came out. Of course these people knew Wang Xiu's cultivation. He had stepped into the True Spirit Realm, so the brat in front of them shouldn't be Wang Xiu's match. They didn't know why Wang Xiu would ask the boss to come out. When the discussion fell into Wang Xiu's ears, his face turned red with anger. However, he was too embarrassed to stand out and scold everyone. After all, this kind of thing was too shameful, but seeing Qin Feng being beaten all over the place, Wang Xiu immediately vented his anger. An ant like you doesn't need senior brother to make a move. Let me kill you. Seeing that Qin Feng's body was riddled with scars, Wang Xiu let out an angry roar and flew towards the sky. He was quite cunning, only acting when Wang Jun was about to kill Qin Feng. In this way he could redeem himself from the humiliation of being chased by Qin Feng. Seeing his junior brother fly into the battlefield, Wang Jun temporarily stopped his flying swords to prevent the sword chi from injuring Wang Xiu. He also realized that Qin Feng was heavily injured, and with his junior brother's True Spirit Realm cultivation, killing this kind of strong crossbow was not a problem at all. Only their thoughts were wrong from the beginning. Although Qin Feng was covered in wounds, they were only superficial wounds. The aura in his body was very fierce and he wasn't affected at all. Ah, stinky brat, who told you to be arrogant with father? I'll tear you into 10,000 pieces. In just a few breaths of time, Wang Xiu had already arrived in front of Qin Feng. His expression was fierce and his eyes were filled with a cold smile. The blade in his hand was about to fall, but for some reason the arm that was raising the blade suddenly stopped in the air and the blade didn't fall. I already said that you can't kill me, but I can instantly kill you. Qin Feng's voice echoed in Wang Xiu's mind. The latter's eyes were filled with shock and his mouth slightly opened as if he wanted to say something, but he found that he couldn't control his body and his throat couldn't make any sound. A wave of pain spread through his body and he saw his body slowly split apart before finally exploding in the sky like fireworks. Long. The explosion was too sudden and it didn't stop. When they saw Wang Xiu explode, their jaws and eyeballs fell to the ground. Other than Wang Jun, everyone else's cultivation was too low. They couldn't even see how Qin Feng had attacked, but in the end, A true spirit realm 2 expert had been killed. The atmosphere suddenly froze and those mocking Qin Feng suddenly stopped. Only now did the crowd realize how strong Qin Feng was. No wonder Wang Xiu had escaped back and even needed boss Wang Jun to personally make a move. He had even used his 9 Heaven Sword art as a trump card. After killing Wang Xiu with one slash, Qin Feng's heart was filled with joy. He found that on the way to the South Plain State, his cultivation had increased again. The South Plain State's spiritual qi was very dense, so fighting was much easier than in the Northern Sand State. In this group of people, other than boss Wang Jun, Wang Xiu had the highest status and cultivation. Now that their second brother had been killed, everyone felt a trace of nervousness in their hearts. "You bastard, you dared to kill my junior brother. Father will use my flying sword to cut you into pieces and feed you to the dogs." After a short moment of shock, Wang Jun came back to his senses. As he roared like a wild beast, the sword hums in the air once again sounded out. The 9 flying swords no longer attacked in the same direction, but instead spread out in all directions. The chaotic attacks caused Qin Feng to once again fall into a predicament, and he couldn't escape for a while. In terms of sword skills, Qin Feng had quite a few. The shadowless sword that he had secretly learned from Broken Hang Mountain, the 1000 silk slash from Equal Heaven Sect, the waning moon sword technique that he had learned from Limitless. These sword skills were all very powerful, but unfortunately he didn't even have the chance to use them. Qin Feng realized that Wang Jun's 9 Heaven Sword art was also very powerful. It was a high-grade sword skill and he was thinking of secretly learning it. This way he would be able to obtain Hedonist points from the system. He was in a hurry to earn Hedonist points so that he could quickly become a rank 9 Hedonist mortal. Fortunately, Wang Jun didn't know what Qin Feng was thinking. Otherwise, he would have been angered to death by Qin Feng's thoughts. To him, Qin Feng was already in a perilous situation, and this guy still had the mind to secretly learn his 9 Heaven Sword art. When the thought of secretly learning arose, Qin Feng wasn't in a hurry to find a way to break through. He immediately used the heart chant of creation, and the images of swords that filled the sky flashed through his mind like a movie. A new understanding was born, and these seemingly random sword lights began to form a pattern. Qin Feng realized that he was rapidly understanding the mysteries of the 9 Heaven Sword art, and he was shocked by his speed of understanding. Chapter 1842. Brat, now you know how powerful I am. I advise you to surrender. Kneel on the ground where my junior brother died and kowtow. I will leave your corpse intact. Wang Jun did not know that Qin Feng was secretly learning his 9 Heaven Sword art, and still put on an arrogant attitude. Qin Feng laughed in his heart and shouted at him, "With just this little ability, you have the nerve to call yourself powerful. After such a long time you still haven't killed me. This kind of sword skill is really laughable. Look how Grandpa killed people just now, one sword to kill one." Qin Feng was purposely provoking Wang Jun so that he would use more of the 9th Heaven Sword technique. Actually, Qin Feng realized something. He had secretly learned Hunyuan Sect's Hunyuan 7 Blades, Broken Hang Mountain's Shadowless Sword, Equal Heaven Sect's 1000 Silk Slash, Endless Mo's Waning Moon Sword technique. But when he secretly learned these martial skills, his opponent only used a portion of the moves, but Qin Feng could rely on the powerful Heart Sutra of the Good Fortune chapter to perfect these martial skills on his own. Now that he had obtained the Creation chapter, his ability to comprehend and perfect became even stronger. "You reckless ant, since you are so eager to die, I will fulfill your wish." His words successfully angered Wang Jun. He waved his hands and the 9 flying swords in the sky seemed to have a life of their own. They overlapped and attacked Qin Feng. There were no marks in the sky, but the flying swords had already flown past. To be more precise, the sky was filled with sword marks, but these sword marks were left behind from before. The 9 flying swords were now extremely fast, leaving no marks where they flew. When they reached a new space, the air that they had flown through before was filled with sword chi that tore through the air. What a powerful sword skill. It is similar to the Waning Moon Sword technique. Qin Feng sighed. His understanding of the 9th Heaven Sword technique was becoming more and more thorough. However, in order to learn this sword skill, he also paid the price in blood. Under the pursuit of the 9 flying swords, he was cut into a bloody person. His body was not only covered with skin wounds. Not long ago, 2 flying swords hit his abdomen and back. Although he used his chi to protect his body in time, his body was still seriously injured. "Ah, let's see if you can still be arrogant. Everyone, let's get revenge for Wang Xiu." Feeling Qin Feng's chi getting weaker and weaker, Wang Jun shouted. His subordinates had been waiting for this moment. Suddenly, more than 20 black shadows rushed into the sky and surrounded Qin Feng with fierce attacks. There were 2 true spirit realm cultivators in this group of people, and the rest were in the Buddha light realm. Furthermore, there was Wang Jun, who was in the late true spirit realm, standing on the ground. For a moment, Qin Feng felt a strong murderous intent. He felt that if he didn't retaliate he would really die here. But a strange energy fluctuation suddenly appeared in the air. In Qin Feng's hand was a cool long black saber. The model of this imprisonment was a treasured saber of the Destruction Dark equipment. Qin Feng had won it from Su Qi, the genius disciple of the Seven Stars Monastery, when he participated in the genius meeting held by the Binji market. When the shackles fell, a black saber qi appeared in the void. The saber qi immediately spread in all directions. With Qin Feng as the center, it quickly formed a black hole-like halo. The air froze and time seemed to stop at this moment. The more than 20 cultivators who were flying in the air suddenly froze in the sky, maintaining their attacking posture and fierce expressions on their faces. The 9 flying swords revealed their original forms and surrounded Qin Feng. The sharp sword light also stopped in the void. Within a radius of 500 meters there was no sound. All life disappeared and only Qin Feng's qi spread in the air. This was Qin Feng's second time using the shackles, but he was still shocked by the power of this superb true weapon. When he regained his senses, he immediately slashed horizontally with his saber. A black light flashed and the air seemed to be cut in half. The more than 20 cultivators who were frozen in the void were also cut in half at the waist. But in just a short dozen seconds, there was another wave of energy fluctuation, and the sound of an explosion resounded in the sky. The attacks of the dozen cultivators fell and everything returned to normal. How could this be? To Wang Jun, he couldn't remember what had just happened. It was as if those dozen seconds were as long as a dozen centuries. However, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. The remains of his subordinates were scattered around him, and blood flowed like a river. The scene was extremely bloody and terrifying. Rumble. However, he didn't have time to think about what had just happened. Several waist-thick lightning bolts struck down from the sky. The moment he saw these lightning bolts, Wang Jun felt an unprecedented fear and the aura of death. As a late-stage true spirit realm cultivator, he wasn't an inexperienced person. He had seen the thunder tribulation caused by a void god realm cultivator breaking through, and it was probably nothing compared to the lightning bolts falling on his head. Nothing is impossible. I've said it before. You can't kill me, but I can kill you. Qin Feng's loud voice came from the thunder. Wang Jun wanted to refute, but he didn't even have the chance to make a sound. In an instant he was blown to pieces in the sea of lightning. The moment he was hit by the lightning bolts, his eyes were filled with fear. He was sure that the power of these lightning bolts was comparable to the thunder tribulation when a void god realm cultivator broke through. However, this kind of attack came from a Buddha light realm cultivator. He didn't know how the other party did it. Before dying, Wang Jun didn't understand many things. However, he didn't need to think about it because death meant that everything would disappear. When Qin Feng stepped into the South Flat Continent, he killed many Buddha light realm cultivators and 4 true spirit realm experts. This battle gave him confidence. Even if he came here, he wouldn't end up in a situation where he was at the mercy of others. Wang Jun is dead? Everyone come out quickly. Wang Jun and Wang Xiu are dead. Not long after the battle ended, more than 100 people ran out of the houses. These people were mostly at the Buddha light realm, but there were a few Sage King and Immortal Qi realm cultivators. Qin Feng jumped into the crowd, scaring everyone into retreating immediately. They sized him up with vigilance. Suddenly, a figure rushed out from the crowd and shouted in surprise, "Sect leader Qin? Is it really you?" Because of this cultivator's action, everyone was stunned and didn't dare to move. Qin Feng looked at that cultivator for a while and felt that he looked familiar. However, he couldn't remember who he was. "You are?" Qin Feng asked. "Sect leader Qin, I am Sky Cloud Sword's disciple He Chao. Do you still remember me?" When Sky Cloud Sword's name was announced, the rest of the people were at a loss. Obviously they had never heard of this sect. However, Qin Feng was stunned. After searching through his memory, he remembered the middle-aged man in front of him. This person was actually from the Divine Land, and Sky Cloud Sword was also a big sect in the Divine Land. "You came here too?" Qin Feng's words had a hidden meaning that only He Chao could understand. Chapter 1843. Sect leader Qin, we can talk about my matter later. These brothers are all cultivators from the other 3 continents. More than half of them are from the northern Sand Continent. After everyone arrived here, they were placed under house arrest by Wang Jun and the rest. They forced everyone to help them collect spirit stones and do some manual labor. Yi Chao said. Then why didn't you run away? Qin Feng asked. It's not that I haven't thought about it. However, it is very difficult to escape. Just over a month ago, 3 Buddha light stage cultivators from the northern Sand region wanted to escape. In the end, they were captured by Wang Jun. He killed them on the spot and brought their corpses back to hang them on the flagpole to display his might. Qin Feng glanced at the crowd. Among them, the person with the highest realm was a late-stage Buddha light-stage cultivator. That cultivator's clothes were tattered and his face was covered with whip marks. It seemed that he had been beaten a lot. With the cultivation of these people, it was indeed impossible for them to fight against Wang Jun and the others. There was no need for Wang Jun to make a move, just Wang Xiu and the other 2 true spirit realm cultivators were enough. Qin Feng was speechless as to why Wang Jun and the others put everyone under house arrest. Unexpectedly, they wanted these cultivators to help them find spirit stones. However, when Yi Chao brought Qin Feng to the room where the spirit stones were stored, he was immediately shocked by the scene in front of him. The entire room was more than 1,000 square meters, and it was actually filled with spirit stones. Sect leader Qin, we've worked day and night to find these spirit stones. Wang Jun and the others are very strict with us. Every day, everyone has a task to collect spirit stones. If we don't reach the required number of spirit stones, we'll be beaten and scolded. If it's serious, we'll be killed. Every time Yi Chao mentioned Wang Jun's name, his eyes were filled with fear and anger. He hesitated a few times before finally asking, "Oh right, sect leader Qin, did you kill Wang Jun and the others?" Everyone in front heard the fierce fighting outside and thought that Wang Jun and his men were catching the people who escaped. But when everyone came out, they found that Wang Jun and his men were gone. Qin Feng was surprised by the number of spirit stones in the room, but after understanding the situation, he felt that it was normal. There were at least 100 people here, and every one of them was using their lives to collect spirit stones. Naturally, the results were shocking. Everyone, don't worry. Wang Jun and the others have been killed by me. Now you are free. When Qin Feng said this, the crowd was stunned. Soon, some people came to their senses and their empty eyes regained their luster. Sect leader Qin, are you joking? Did you kill Wang Jun and those bastards? Aside from Yi Chao, no one else recognized Qin Feng. When they heard Yi Chao call him sect leader Qin, they followed suit. Everyone's eyes were filled with doubt. Some cultivators couldn't see through Qin Feng's realm, but there were a few late-stage Buddha Light realm cultivators who could see that Qin Feng was at the Buddha Light 7 transformations realm. How could this kind of cultivation kill Wang Jun and his group? Qin Feng naturally knew what everyone was thinking, but he didn't explain much. He looked at the room full of spirit stones and said, "These spirit stones were collected by you. Divide them among yourselves and leave this place. Go back to where you came from." The crowd was stunned once again. Who would have thought that Qin Feng would be so easy to talk to? This was the divine supreme continent, a place where only the strong were respected. Which expert would give cultivation resources to the weak when they saw them? However, only Yi Chao understood Qin Feng. Back in the divine land, Qin Feng eventually dominated the entire divine land. However, he did not destroy the sects that had offended him in a fit of rage. Instead, he accepted all the sects with the magnanimous attitude of an expert. Fellow Taoist, sect leader Qin doesn't lie. Let's share the spirit stones and leave. Yi Chao shouted. His words were better than Qin Feng's. He had been with them for more than a year and they were friends. A few cultivators carefully went into the spirit stone room and put the spirit stones into their storage rings. Some ran away. They didn't even dare to take a spirit stone. It did not take long before half of the spirit stones in the room were taken away. Then the cultivators stopped. One of them looked at Qin Feng and said, "Sect leader Qin, thank you for saving our lives. Please take the remaining spirit stones. Consider it our thanks to you." Actually, even if these people didn't leave him any spirit stones, Qin Feng wouldn't have said anything. However, with everyone's actions, he felt a sense of warmth in his heart. This was the first time he felt a sense of closeness since coming to the South Flat Continent. Qin Feng didn't stand on ceremony. He took more than 10 million spirit stones. He left half of it for Yi Chao, which was also 10 million spirit stones. After the cultivators got the spirit stones, they bid farewell to Qin Feng and left. They came from different continents. They came to the South Pingzhou to look for treasures or people. But they were put under house arrest. Many of them had been under house arrest for more than a year. Only Qin Feng and Yi Chao were left in the room. Yi Chao didn't have any misgivings. He returned to the original topic. Sect leader Qin, you were also transported to the South Pingzhou. I didn't expect you to still be alive. Qin Feng felt that He Chao's words were strange, but he couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was transported to the Divine Continent 2 years ago. I stayed in the North Sand Continent. I just arrived at the South Pingzhou a few days ago. I didn't expect to meet you here. Qin Feng briefly explained his situation. At the same time he was puzzled. He Chao was a disciple of the Divine Continent's Heavenly Sword sect. His cultivation talent was not bad. He should have reached the late-stage Immortal Qi realm after 2 years in the South Pingzhou. Why hadn't he broken through to the mid-stage? Before Qin Feng could figure it out, He Chao suddenly exclaimed, "Huh? Sect leader Qin was in the North Sand Continent? Then how did you come to the South Pingzhou Continent? By the way, Sect leader Qin, are there any of the cultivators who were transported here with you alive?" The more Qin Feng listened, the more confused he became. What did He Chao mean by the cultivators who were transported here with him? Could it be that He Chao wasn't in the same batch as him? When were you transported here? Qin Feng's expression suddenly changed. He had a terrifying guess. Sect leader Qin, I was in the second batch. I arrived at the South Pingzhou Continent a year ago. Rumble. Qin Fen felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He Chao had confirmed his speculation. Following this pattern, could it be that the formation leading to the Divine Continent had been loosening every year since the realms merged 2 years ago? Did anyone get transported here this year? How many people did you teleport from that batch? Qin Feng realized the seriousness of the problem. If the array leading to the Divine Continent opened every year, then his family and friends in China would definitely come to the Divine Continent to look for him. I don't know if anyone was teleported over this year. As for the last time we teleported over, not many people came. Because sect leader Qin was the first to do so, many people didn't dare to enter the teleportation array. Now there are rumors that sect leader Qin is dead. The first batch of people who teleported over also died. Chapter 1844. As he spoke, He Chao's expression became dejected. As for our group of cultivators, more than half of them should have died. At least 4 of my fellow disciples were killed. I'm the only one left alive. That's right, sect leader Qin, there seems to be a relative of yours among our group. Qin Fen's expression changed drastically. He was afraid that his relatives and friends would find their way to the Divine Supreme Continent. He could barely protect himself now, let alone others. Who are my relatives? Qin Fen asked immediately. I know your father, Emperor Qin, and your grandfather, Qin Shitian. There's also a little girl called Qin Duo Air, but I'm not sure if there are others. Qin Fen clenched his fists so hard that his nails dug into his flesh. He did not know that the 3 people He Chao mentioned were his real relatives. Even though they were not related by blood, they had raised him since he was young. Have you heard any news about them recently? Ever since I was placed under house arrest by Wang Jun and the others, I haven't received any news from anyone else. As for the matter regarding Emperor Qin and the other 2, I only heard it by accident before I was placed under house arrest. I don't know those 3 people, but I heard that they were looking for sect leader Qin. That was how I found out about their relationship with sect leader Qin. Qin Fen was startled. He Chao was a cultivator of the Divine Great Land, so of course he didn't know Emperor Qin and the others. However, another question arose in his mind. Wasn't the Divine Great Land merged with the Divine Continent 2 years ago when the planes merged? If He Chao was in the Divine Great Land, why did he only teleport here a year ago? Qin Fen shared his doubts with He Chao. The latter had a complicated expression on his face. Then realization dawned on him. So that's how it is. No wonder so many lands in the Divine Great Land suddenly disappeared, and some sects and forces seem to have vanished into thin air. It's because of the merging of the planes. So, what happened 2 years ago wasn't a teleportation formation, but a direct merging of the planes. Qin Fen knew that the Divine Great Land had indeed merged with the Divine Supreme Continent, but it was a teleportation formation that appeared in China's inner hidden sects. Qin Fen could not figure out why this was different. However, he realized another important thing. He thought that the Divine Great Land had merged with the Divine Supreme Continent, but it was not what he had imagined. Qin Fen thought of the Violet Afterglow Valley mystic realm that he had explored before. There was a part of the combined Divine Land there, but it was not the complete Poison Sun City. At that time, Qin Fen was a little puzzled, but now he understood. He even had a bold conjecture. In fact, the Divine Great Land was a part of the Divine Mainland a long time ago. Not only the Divine Great Land, but there were also many planes that suddenly merged 2 years ago that were all part of the Divine Mainland. Due to some unknown reasons, the divine mainland had split up a long time ago, and some of the planes were scattered to different regions. Now, for some unknown reason, these scattered planes had returned. These questions were too profound, and with Qin Feng's current knowledge, he couldn't understand them at all. He tossed aside the messy thoughts in his head and continued to ask Yi Chao, "When and where did you hear about my father and the others?" Yi Chao didn't pay much attention to Qin Huang and the other two at first, but now that Qin Fen asked him about it, he immediately tried his best to remember. "It should be 1 month after I was teleported here. On that day, I met a cultivator from the divine land near this sand city. We chatted, and I learned about Qin Huang and the other two from that cultivator. If I remember correctly, that cultivator said that he came from Panshan Market. Because Panshan Market is too big and there are too many powerful cultivators, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to survive, so he came to a small town like Sand City. He met someone from China in Panshan Market, and because he knew that sect leader Qin came from China, he specifically asked about Emperor Qin and the others. Qin Fen wanted to rush to Panshan Market to find his father and the others immediately, but he quickly calmed down. Putting aside the question of whether he could survive in Panshan Market with his strength, even if he went there now, he didn't know if his father and the others were still there. What's that cultivator's name? Where is he now? Qin Fen wanted to find that person and ask about it in detail. Yi Chao shook his head and sighed. He was a disciple of the Divine Great Land's mysterious ice sect. Later on, he was imprisoned by Wang Jun and the others just like me. That cultivator was unwilling to become someone else's puppet, so he was killed when he tried to escape. Qin Fen sighed, feeling pity for that cultivator. That cultivator helped him bring news about Emperor Qin and the others, but he didn't even get to see them. However, when he thought about how he killed Wang Jun and the others, it could be said that he had avenged that cultivator. Qin Fen carefully calculated the time. The news about his father and the others came out a year ago, and the Divine Continent was extremely dangerous. Moreover, this was the South Pingzhou continent. Without strength, one would be reduced to the lowest level of cannon fodder. A year had passed, and he was very worried about his father and the others' safety. "Are you familiar with the South Pingzhou continent?" Qin Fen collected his thoughts. He knew that it was meaningless to worry, and the most important thing was to act as soon as possible. "This junior has only been in the South Pingzhou continent for a month, and I was captured by Wang Jun and the others. Since then I've been active in the Sand City area, so I'm not familiar with other places," Yi Chao said honestly. Qin Fen had been worried about his father and the others, so he ignored the fact that Yi Chao kept talking about the Sand City. Qin Fen's expression suddenly lit up and he quickly asked, "You're saying that this area belongs to the Sand City?" "That's right, sect leader Qin. This is the Sand City. Have you heard of the Immortal Moon restaurant in the Sand City?" "I know, because the items sold in that Immortal Moon restaurant are very unique. I specially went there once and found out that they were actually selling Chinese products. It's just that when I went there, someone happened to be looking for trouble with the lady boss, so I didn't ask where she came from." Qin Fen raised his brows. "You said that someone was looking for trouble with Hua Xianyu? When did this happen?" No matter how stupid Yi Chao was, he realized that the lady boss of the Immortal Moon restaurant had a close relationship with Qin Fen. "Sect leader Qin, I went there 3 months ago to look for spirit stones. I happened to pass by the Immortal Moon restaurant, so I went to have a look. It seems that a disciple from a sect took a fancy to the lady boss's beauty, but she rejected him. That cultivator was so angry that he caused trouble in the Immortal Moon restaurant. As for what happened after that, I don't know." Qin Fen's body emitted waves of cold air, and Yi Chao felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar. He regretted not helping Hua Xianyu at that time, but it would have been useless even if he had helped. The cultivators in the Divine Continent were all abnormal, and ever since Yi Chao was teleported here, he had been at the bottom of the hierarchy. Knowing that Hua Xianyu was in trouble, Qin Feng's heart burned with anxiety. He was angry at Al Shen of the Thousand Swords sect. Even though he knew that there was an 80% chance that Al Shen wouldn't keep his promise, when it really happened, his anger burned at Al Shen. He even swore in his heart that if anything happened to Hua Xianyu, he would definitely cut off Al Shen's dog head. Yi Chao had been to the main district of the Sand City, and he was familiar with the area. The two of them immediately rushed to the center of the city. Qin Fen planned to find Hua Xianyu first. The Sand City was only a 3-star market in the South Flat Continent, and it was the lowest among the 3-star markets. It was like a third-tier city in China. The flow of people and the environment were similar to Luo City, where Qin Fen had first arrived in the North Sand Continent. However, the spiritual energy density here was more than 10 times higher than Luo City. "Stop, you two. If you want to enter the Sand City, hand over your storage rings first. As soon as the two of them arrived at the gate of the Sand City, they were stopped by a group of 5 cultivators. These 5 people had been waiting outside the city. There were many cultivators coming and going, but they did not stop them one by one. Instead, they targeted cultivators who walked alone or had low cultivation bases. Qin Fen and He Chao were used to this kind of thing. This was the specialty of the Divine Supreme Continent. It was a place where only the strong were respected, and there were no laws to speak of. He Chao did not care too much about handing over his storage rings. He was a low-level cultivator, and he had been exploited by Wang Jun and the others. It could be said that he had no treasures on him. However, when he thought of the more than 10 million high-grade spirit stones that were stored in his storage ring not long ago, he could not help but feel a little heartache. Sect leader Qin, this place is not like the Divine Supreme Continent. We should hand over our storage rings. It's more important to save our lives. He Chao still did not know Qin Fen's strength. Although he knew that Qin Fen had killed Wang Jun and the others, he did not see it with his own eyes. Therefore he always felt that he and Qin Fen were outsiders and could not fight against the local cultivators. However, while he was speaking, Qin Fen had already sized up the 5 people in front of him. Among them, there were 2 early-stage True Spirit Realm cultivators and 3 late-stage Buddha Light Realm cultivators. In Qin Fen's eyes, this kind of cultivation was trash that could be killed with a single slash. However, Qin Fen was surprised. These were just a few cultivators that he had casually met, but they were already at such a high realm. It could be seen that the overall standard of the South Flat Continent's cultivators was far higher than that of the North Sand Continent's cultivators. Keep the storage rings. He Chao was about to hand over the storage rings when Qin Fen's indifferent voice sounded in his ears. His body froze, and he still maintained the action of handing over the storage rings. He did not know what to do for a moment. Stinking brat, I think you are tired of living. Seeing that the storage rings were about to be in their hands, but Qin Fen had ruined their plans, the 5 cultivators' expressions turned cold. Among them, 3 late-stage Buddha Light Realm cultivators even started cursing. A mere 7 changes Buddha Light Realm ant dares to behave atrociously here. Why are you wasting your breath on him? I'll count to 3. If he doesn't hand over the storage rings by then, we'll just kill him. He Chao was only at stage 3 Immortal Qi Realm now, and he could not see through Qin Fen's cultivation. When he heard that Qin Fen had already stepped into the 7 changes Buddha Light Realm, he was shocked. He knew that Qin Fen had only been in the South Flat Continent for 2 years, but he had actually cultivated from the Immortal Qi Realm to the late-stage Buddha Light Realm. Even the genius disciples of the 6-star sects in the South Flat Continent could not achieve such a terrifying cultivation speed, right? Chapter 1845. Noisy. Qin Fen spat out lightly. Then a golden light flashed. The speed of the sword light was so fast that the 3 Buddha's light cultivators couldn't react. They suddenly felt as if something was stuck in their throats and they couldn't say anything else. He Chao was scared to death by Qin Fen's actions. He wanted to stop him, but he suddenly heard the sound of skin tearing. The sound was originally very soft, but it gradually became louder until it became the sound of blood spurting. Then there were 3 muffled sounds. The 3 Buddha's light late-stage cultivators had exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. The commotion here attracted the attention of many cultivators. Some of the lower cultivators immediately ran away, afraid of being affected. However, there were many True Spirit Realm cultivators standing at the side with the attitude of watching a show. That kid is only at the Buddha's Light 7 Transformation Realm, but he actually killed 3 cultivators of the same realm in one move. This kind of thing is rare. What's so special about it? Those 3 Buddha's Light late-stage cultivators are just rogue cultivators. Their cultivation techniques and martial skills are the worst. Back when I was still at the Buddha's Light late stage, I could also instantly kill rogue cultivators at the Buddha's Light late stage. He stepped into the Buddha's Light late stage at such a young age. The youth might have eaten some kind of beautifying pill. Many people were discussing, but Qin Fen didn't seem to hear it. He was actually a very low-key person, but he knew that he had to be a bit strong at times. Otherwise, there would always be people who wanted to bully him. The 2 True Spirit Realm cultivators suddenly woke up. They looked at the 3 pools of blood under their feet and felt like they were dreaming. Brat, you dare to kill people in front of me. I will tear you into pieces. One of the True Spirit Realm 2 cultivators slashed with his saber. That golden saber shined brightly under the sunlight. When the saber slashed down, it instantly formed hundreds of golden saber lights. The dazzling light made He Chao unable to open his eyes. Sect Master Qin, be careful. Rumble. He Chao used his hand to cover his eyes and let out a scream. He immediately heard a deafening explosion and a wave of despair rose in his heart. He thought that Qin Fin had already died to the other party's saber. Originally, He Chao was pleasantly surprised to meet Sect Master Qin in the South Pingzhou state. But who would have thought that in less than half a day, they would be separated by life and death? You hid your strength? What's your cultivation? However, he heard an unfamiliar voice with a terrified tone. He Chao opened his eyes abruptly and was stunned by the scene in front of him. The true spirit stage expert who attacked Qin Feng had long since disappeared, but there was a pool of blood on the ground where he was standing before. A golden flying sword floated above Qin Feng's head, and the flying sword suddenly shot out, drawing a golden light in the air. The cultivator who was asking the question suddenly froze, and a second later, a mist of blood exploded from his body. Rumble. The sound of the explosion had yet to completely subside, but the 5 cultivators had already lost their lives to the flying swords. The onlookers found it hard to come back to their senses. They looked at Qin Feng again with fear in their eyes. This young hero has definitely stepped into the true spirit realm. He looks to be in his 30s, but he is already a true spirit realm expert. He must be a disciple of a 5-star sect. He might have eaten a beauty elixir to maintain his youthful appearance. But no matter what, we are definitely not his match. We should leave this place as soon as possible. As the crowd gradually woke up, the area outside the Sand City suddenly became quiet. After witnessing Qin Feng's power, not many people dared to challenge his dignity. There were also some forces that had been guarding the entrance of the Sand City and robbing outsiders. At this moment they felt a lingering fear and relief. They were afraid of Qin Feng's power, and they were relieved that Li Bo and the others had stopped Qin Feng first. Otherwise they might have been the ones to die. Sect Master Qin, what realm are you at now? He Chao only woke up after following Qin Feng into the Sand City. However, the shock in his eyes did not disappear. He was truly shocked by Qin Feng's power. Just as those people said, I am at the 7 Changes Buddha Aura realm, He Chao opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Qin Feng continued, but I can instantly kill early-stage true spirit realm cultivators. Even if I encounter early-stage void god realm experts, I can still escape and even kill them. He Chao's words did not leave his mouth in the end. He was speechless and did not know what to say. After entering the Sand City there were more and more cultivators. The streets were crowded and it was a lively scene. However, although there were many people in the city, there were few robberies like at the city gate. Qin Feng guessed that the Sand City was also guarded by a city lord. Ordinary people did not dare to easily cause trouble in the city. Under He Chao's lead, the two quickly found the Immortal Moon Shop. However, the Immortal Moon Shop had changed its owner and its signboard was changed. It was called Danxiang Workshop, and it was a place that specialized in selling elixirs. Qin Feng asked the shopkeeper about Hua Xianyue, and the information he received made him feel relieved. Just as He Chao said, 3 months ago, a genius disciple from the 4-star sect, Beijing, came to the Immortal Moon Shop. After taking a fancy to Hua Xianyue's beauty, he wanted to recruit her, but was rejected by Hua Xianyue. In a fit of anger, the disciple called Bai Ming wreaked havoc in the Immortal Moon Shop. Fortunately, Hua Xianyue escaped in time, and in the Sand City, the disciple did not dare to act recklessly. After that, Hua Xianyue returned to the Immortal Moon Shop once and transferred the shop to the current owner of the Danxiang Workshop. She also told the owner that she had joined the Mu Shanzi sect and that she planned to cultivate in seclusion there. Qin Feng followed He Chao to Mu Shanzi. Fortunately, Mu Shanzi was a sect in the North Sand City, and He Chao knew its address. On the way, He Chao gave Qin Feng a brief introduction about Mu Shanzi. It was a small 3-star sect in the Sand City, and it was a female sect. It was rumored that the sect leader, Mu Shanmo, had just stepped into the true spirit realm. In a place like the South Flat Continent, true spirit realm cultivators were not worth mentioning. However, Qin Feng was still a little surprised. This was because he had come from the North Sand region and was very clear about the power of the 3-star sects in the North Sand region. When he had just arrived in the North Sand region, Lin Bei Bei and the others had caught the eye of the Hunyuan sect. The Hunyuan sect was a 3-star sect in the North Sand region, but the sect leader, Hunyuan Qingtian, was only a Saint King realm cultivator. Moreover, in the North Sand region, the sect leader of a new 5-star sect was only at the true spirit realm. Looking at the South Flat Continent, the sect leader of a mere 3-star sect, Mu Shanzi, had actually stepped into the true spirit realm. Up ahead is the sacred land of the Mu Shanzi sect. Fellow Taoists, please wait. The two of them had already landed at the foot of a huge purple mountain. There were a few delicate and pretty women guarding the entrance. They were dressed in purple robes and carried thin swords on their backs. He Chao immediately cupped his hands and said, "Senior sisters, sect leader Qin and I are here to look for someone." A slightly older woman walked out from the crowd and politely replied, "May I know who the two of you are looking for?" "Hua Xianyue," Qin Feng said before He Chao could speak. "You are looking for junior sister Hua Xianyue? She was just sent to the Beijing sect this morning," the woman said. Qin Feng immediately raised his brows. He had heard the shopkeeper mention the Beijing sect when he was at the Danxiang workshop. It was the genius disciple of the Beijing sect, Bai Ming, who had taken a fancy to Hua Xianyue's beauty. After failing, he had wreaked havoc in the immortal moon house. Now that Hua Xianyue had actually been sent to the Beijing sect, a ferocious aura immediately swept up from Qin Feng's body. "Fellow Taoist, what do you mean by this? How could the 7 or 8 female disciples guarding the door withstand Qin Feng's anger?" They felt a wave of oppression. There were even a few female cultivators with lower realms who sat on the ground and vomited. "Why did you send Hua Xianyue to the Beijing sect? Don't you know that the Beijing sect's Bai Ming has ulterior motives for her?" Qin Feng was very angry. With this angry roar, his cultivation of the 7 changes of Buddha aura was fully displayed. Moreover, his aura was far stronger than that of an early-stage true spirit realm cultivator. Immediately, the disciples guarding the door were forced to retreat hundreds of meters away. No one answered Qin Feng's question because those disciples' realms were too low. At this moment, they felt that their internal injuries were about to be shaken out. They didn't even have the strength to speak. However, a green figure flew to the ground. The moment the person approached Qin Feng, she also felt that powerful aura. It actually made her feel a little uncomfortable. "May I know who you are? What conflict do I, Mu Shanzi, have with you?" A woman's voice sounded. She looked to be in her 40s or 50s. Qin Feng only needed a glance to know that this person was Mu Shanzi's sect leader. This was because in the entire Mu Shanzi only her aura was the strongest, but she had only just stepped into the true spirit realm. "You are sect leader Mu Shanmo? Why did you send Hua Xianyue to the Beijing sect?" Qin Feng's eyes were filled with anger. Mu Shanmo was stunned at first. After coming back to his senses, a hint of joy flashed in his eyes. "Is this senior a friend of the immortal moon disciple? Quickly go and save the immortal moon disciple." Although she was willing to marry into the Beijing sect, I know that she couldn't bear to see Mu Shanzi destroyed, so she compromised. There was too much information in these words, but Qin Feng roughly understood the situation. It should be that after Hua Xianyue joined Mu Shanzi, the Beijing sect's Bai Ming did not give up and finally found Mu Shanzi to threaten him. The Beijing sect was a 4-star sect, and it was difficult for a 3-star sect like Mu Shanzi to deal with. Helpless, Hua Xianyue chose to marry into the Beijing sect to avoid this fierce battle. "What a good Northern Peace sect, what a good Bai Ming, you dare to have designs on my friend. Today I will massacre Beijing. Who will lead the way for me?" Qin Feng had been suppressing a belly full of anger recently. Previously, it was because of the death of Ouyang Jun and the others. Now, with Hua Xianyue being forced to marry, his anger completely erupted. He Chao knew where the Beijing sect was, but he did not directly lead the way. He said with some worry, "Sect leader Qin, the Beijing sect is a 4-star sect in Sand City. Rumor has it that the sect leader by Xiaofeng has already stepped into the void god realm. If we go, we will be sending ourselves to death." However, Mu Shanmo said, "Senior, I can take you there." Chapter 1846. There was a sect's base hidden in a spiritual mountain in the Sand City area. There seemed to be a joyous occasion in the sect today. There was a big red double happiness sign pasted on the house. This sect was the Beijing sect. "You may leave." Hua Xianyu was soaking in a wooden tub sprinkled with flower petals. 2 maids stood beside her. One of them said, "Miss Xianyu, we were ordered by the sect to help you bathe and change your clothes." Hua Xianyu looked tired and her voice was emotionless. "You may leave. I can dress myself." The 2 maids looked at each other and reluctantly left the inner room. They stood guard at the door of the outer room and did not leave. "What?" Hua Xianyu stood up from the wooden tub. Water droplets slid down her smooth skin. She stretched out her slender legs, crossed the edge of the wooden tub, and walked to the bronze mirror on the side. The bronze mirror reflected Hua Xianyu's perfect naked body. She stared at the mirror in a daze. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. She had such a good body but no one could enjoy it. She was forced to agree to the marriage. She would not have anything to do with Bai Ming. She planned to end her own life after the wedding ceremony was over. Although she was reluctant, she had no other choice. Many people flashed through Hua Xianyu's mind, including her junior sister Su Ruo, Great Elder Qing Bai, Sect Master Qing Chen. The reason she came to the Divine Supreme Continent was to look for her fellow disciples and seniors. She also heard that Great Elder Qing Ying had also come to the Divine Supreme Continent. Thinking of Qing Ying, Hua Xianyu immediately thought of Qin Feng. She had heard from Qin Feng a long time ago that Elder Qing Ying was his mother. When Qin Feng's figure appeared in her mind, it was different from the other figures that flashed through her mind. She couldn't get it out of her mind. Everything about her and Qin Feng played in her mind like a movie. They first met in Devil Beast Mountain in Acropolis City. They fought together to kill the three-eyed elephant boar. They even fed each other blood essence to survive. Then Qin Feng went to the Thousand Shadows sect to look for Su Ruo. Then they went to the Divine Supreme Continent together. The relationship between the two of them was ambiguous. They were like lovers, but it was also like there was a veil between them. Hua Xianyu and Qin Feng didn't try to break through that veil. However, when Hua Xianyu wanted to remove the veil, she realized it was too late. Ever since she came to the Divine Continent, she had been worrying about survival. She had encountered countless dangers and obstacles along the way. She had come to look for Qin Feng and the others, but in the end she did not even see a single cultivator from Huaxia or the Divine Continent. Being in the South Pingzhou, Hua Xianyu felt extremely helpless. This was a completely different world, and she was 1,000 times more lonely than those Chinese students who went overseas to study. In this most difficult situation, Hua Xianyu really wanted to see Qin Feng and ask him to take her away. However, her rationality told her that this was impossible. She even guessed that Qin Feng, her sect sisters, and the elders might have all died. Lady Immortal Moon, the auspicious hour has arrived. Just as she was lost in thought, a maid came from outside the door to remind her. Hua Xianyue put on a bright red wedding dress like a puppet and walked out of the room under the guidance of the maid. The sound of gongs and drums could be heard outside the door, and people carried a bridal sedan chair over. It was a very lively scene. At this moment, 3 figures flew over from the distance and landed. Sect leader Qin, this is the Beijing sect. Mu Shan Mo followed He Chao's way of address and now called Qin Feng sect leader Qin. He Chao looked at the magnificent city building in front of him and felt uncertain. Sect leader Qin, are we really going to kill our way in? With just the 3 of us? When they arrived at the entrance of the Beijing sect, Mu Shan Mo was also a little worried. Sect leader Qin, should I call all the experts from Mu Shanzi over? Then we can fight it out with the Beijing sect. Actually, I have deep feelings for my disciple, Immortal Moon, and have always rejected this marriage. However, my disciple is too kind. To avoid a war between the 2 sects, she ran to the Beijing sect when we weren't paying attention. Qin Feng had always been a good judge of people. He could tell from Mu Shan Mo's eyes that what he said was the truth. Moreover, if Mu Shan Mo didn't care about Hua Xianyue, he wouldn't have brought him to the Beijing sect's base. When he heard that they were going to fight a hard battle, He Chao was so scared that he trembled. It wasn't that he was timid and afraid of death, but his current cultivation was too low. Anyone could jump out and kill him instantly. Sect leader Qin, this junior has a suggestion. Our purpose here is to take Lady Immortal Moon away. There's no need to fight with the Beijing sect. Why don't we think of a secret way to sneak in and take Lady Immortal Moon away without anyone knowing? He Chao's suggestion sounded good, and Mu Shan Mo also hesitated. Although Mu Shan Mo wasn't afraid of fighting with the Beijing sect, once they fought, Mu Shanzi would definitely suffer. If it was really as He Chao said, wouldn't it be better if they could take Immortal Moon's disciple away without losing a single soldier? Just as Mu Shan Mo wanted to persuade Qin Feng, he saw Qin Feng wave his hand and say firmly, there's no need to think of any other way. Today I must massacre Beijing and let them know the consequences of offending my friends. He Chao was helpless, but he didn't dare to persuade Qin Feng anymore. However, a trace of desire arose in his heart. He really wanted to become Qin Feng's friend. Qin Feng was willing to sacrifice himself for his friend and single-handedly killed his way into a 4-star sect in the South Pingzhou continent. This kind of courage was truly admirable. Mu Shan Mo was infected by Qin Feng's hot-bloodedness and heroism. He pulled out the thin sword on his back and shouted, all right. Sect leader Qin, today I'll fight alongside you. Before she could leap up, the sky had already been cut open. A golden light flashed and disappeared, leaving behind Qin Feng's voice. You two don't need to help me. Just wait outside. Inside the Beijing sect, gongs and drums shook the heavens, and red petals were scattered all over the ground. 8 disciples were carrying a large sedan chair on the flower petal road. At the end of the flower petal road was Bai Ming, dressed as a bridegroom. The bride is here, the bride is here. Congratulations, senior brother Bai Ming. This is the 3rd wife you've married. I heard that the woman in the sedan chair is extremely beautiful. She's Mu Shanzi's #1 beautiful disciple. Senior brother Bai Ming was able to marry a beautiful and virtuous partner. It's really enviable. Bai Ming was surrounded by Beijing sect disciples, and they were all talking at once. When the words of praise and envy fell into Bai Ming's ears, he was so happy that he almost went to heaven. The 8 people in the sedan chair got closer and closer. They were less than 100 meters away from Bai Ming's wedding party. Everyone was getting more and more excited. However, at this moment, a golden light fell from the sky and instantly exploded on the ground like lightning. Rumble. A loud sound rang out. The flower petal road was split in half from the middle, and a huge pit as thick as a person's waist appeared at the place where it was split. It forcibly blocked the 8 people in the sedan chair and Bai Ming's party on both sides. Chapter 1847. Who are you, brat? How dare you cause trouble in Beijing sect? Today is my wedding day and I don't want to see blood. Get out of here. Bai Ming shouted angrily, and a turbulent aura shot out of his body, showing his Buddha light advanced stage cultivation. He was just a disciple of a 4-star sect, but he could cultivate to the Buddha light advanced stage. This was enough to show that the South Plateau continent's spiritual energy was rich and suitable for cultivators to cultivate. Qin Feng glanced at him indifferently, and the endless killing intent that surged out of his body almost solidified, making it hard for the people in front of him to breathe. Sorry, I can't leave yet because I'm here to kill you. Rumble. His words made the crowd burst into an uproar. Today was Beijing sect's genius disciple Bai Ming's wedding day, but someone actually came in the middle of it and said arrogant words about killing the groom. Was this guy tired of living or was there something wrong with his head? But before anyone could do anything, a new uproar occurred. The bride actually walked out of the sedan by herself and even lifted her red veil. Wow. This is our sister-in-law, she's so beautiful. As expected of the #1 beautiful disciple of a female sect like Mu Shanzi. Not only is her appearance outstanding, but her figure is also outstanding. When can I find a female cultivator like her to be my partner? That's not right. According to the rules, shouldn't the groom take the bride off the sedan and personally lift the red veil? Why does this bride do everything herself? There were many discussions. Some were curious, while others were amazed by Hua Xianyu's beauty. However, Qin Feng and Hua Xianyu seemed to be aloof from the world, completely ignoring everyone's voices and looking at each other affectionately. They hadn't seen each other for more than 2 years, but Hua Xianyu was still so beautiful, like a delicate and refined fairy. Especially when she wore the fiery red wedding dress, it made her look even more delicate and charming, and it could even steal the souls of men. Hua Xianyu's expression was very complicated. She was pleasantly surprised, agitated, sorrowful, and anxious. All sorts of emotions fused into her beautiful face. Her starry eyes stared unblinkingly at Qin Feng. She was afraid that if she closed her eyes, the dream in front of her would be broken. When she was being carried here, she desperately hoped that someone would come to save her. She never thought that this person would really come. He stood on the golden flying sword and cut through the earth like a god descending to this world. Qin Feng, take me away. Hua Xianyu murmured. She didn't make any sound, but Qin Feng could read her lips. All right. I'll take you out of here right now. Qin Feng also mouthed the words back. His figure flew over and he had already embraced Hua Xianyu. The barrier between the two of them seemed to be pierced through with this hug. Hua Xianyu, who had been suppressing herself for a long time, was completely released. She tightly wrapped her arms around Qin Feng's neck, wanting to melt into his warm embrace. His eyeballs and jaws dropped to the ground. Why was the bride hugging another man? When everyone looked at Bai Ming's head in unison, they realized that there was some green on his head. Ayaya. You disobedient slut and you stinking brat, I'm going to cut you 2 into pieces. After Bai Ming came back to his senses, he was furious. He had been cuckolded in front of the whole sect. He felt that he would be too ashamed to stay in the sect in the future. A pink long sword lashed out, creating a pink sword ray that was 100 meters long in the sky. Qin Feng had his back to the sword ray, and he didn't even turn around from beginning to end. However, when the pink ray was about to hit the ground, The golden ray soared into the sky and instantly swallowed the pink ray into nothingness. Rumble. The commotion was much more intense than everyone had imagined, and the scene in front of them was even more unexpected. When they saw that Qin Feng had ignored Bai Ming's sword, many people had a playful smile on their faces. Some people felt that it was a pity that such a great beauty like Hua Xianyu had died just like that. It would have been good for everyone to enjoy themselves before she died. However, Qin Feng and Hua Xianyu were fine. They hugged each other tightly as if there was no one else around. However, the ground behind Qin Feng, which was hundreds of meters long, was stained with blood. The blood made the petals even more red as if they were burning flames. Senior brother Bai Ming is dead? Finally, someone came to their senses. How is this possible? Senior brother Bai Ming is at the late stage of the Buddha light realm, but he was killed by that kid in a second? But I didn't see that guy do anything. Not good, this kid must have brought helpers to kidnap the bride. Trash hiding in the dark, show yourself quickly. You dare to come to Beijing sect to kill people? I think you have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's heart. The crowd immediately dispersed and looked around vigilantly. Qin Feng was amused. He came here alone this time. How could there be any helpers in the dark? Qin Feng, let's go. Hua Xianyu finally came back to her senses from the joy of their reunion. When she saw that Qin Feng was surrounded, she was extremely nervous. Qin Feng pulled her behind him and said, "Don't rush to leave. I want to teach these dogs who bullied you a lesson they deserve." After looking around, the disciples of Beijing sect did not find any helpers hidden in the dark. They looked at Qin Feng again in disbelief. This guy really came here alone. Was he crazy? An ant at the late stage of the Buddha light realm dares to behave atrociously in Beijing sect. Disciples at the Buddha light realm, follow me. Kill this bastard and avenge senior brother Bai Ming. With a roar, 9 cultivators jumped out of the crowd. They were all at the late stage of the Buddha light realm. On the other hand, these cultivators were only core disciples of the North Star sect. They couldn't even be considered elders. This made Qin Feng realize that the 4-star sects of the South Flat Continent were far more powerful than the 4-star sects of the North Sand Continent. The Beijing sect practiced swordsmanship. When the 9 disciples flew into the air, they struck the swords in their hands at the same time. The sword rays crisscrossed and instantly formed a huge sword net above Qin Feng's head, leaving him no room to escape. It's over, it's over. I didn't expect to die here as soon as we met. But if I can die with you, I have no regrets. Hua Xianyu's cultivation was only a little higher than He Chao's. She had just stepped into the 4th stage immortal energy realm. Under the sword power of so many Buddha light realm experts, she suddenly felt an unprecedented crisis of death. When she looked up at the sword net falling from the sky, she knew that death was coming. She wanted to hug Qin Feng tighter but found that there was nothing. Swoosh! A sword hum pierced through the sky. Although the sound was sharp, under the explosive attack of the sword net, not many people noticed the existence of the golden flying sword. Swoosh! 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 Then there were a few wind-breaking sounds. Several pink sword rays appeared in the sky and were finally discovered by a few disciples. What are those rays of light? Oh no! Those are flying swords, and 9 flying swords. What's the use of just 9 flying swords? Under the joint attack of 9 senior brothers at the late stage of the Buddha light realm, the flying swords can't even break through the sword net. Rumble. Just as that disciple was mocking them, a loud sound came from the sky. The 9 flying swords shot out wildly with the momentum of a rainbow being unsheathed. In an instant, they shattered the sword net that was about to land. 9th Heaven Sword Art Die. Qin Feng carried Hua Xianyu and leaped. In an instant, he flew hundreds of meters away and avoided the collision of the air currents in the center of the explosion. As he escaped, he used his mind to control the 9 flying swords and displayed the 9th Heaven Sword Art that he had learned from Wang Jun not long ago. The flying swords were like rainbows, bringing with them 9 puffs of blood mist. The disciples on the ground were dumbfounded as they watched the 9 senior brothers at the late stage of the Buddha light realm being killed in an instant. After the 9 people were killed, 8 of the pink flying swords were taken back. Then a golden light streaked across the sky. Qin Feng stepped on the golden flying sword and appeared in the sky above the depths of the Beijing sect. Where did this ant come from? How dare you behave atrociously in the Beijing sect? Junior brother Bai Qi and I will tear you to pieces. It turned out that 2 figures were flying in the distance. One of them was an old man who was shouting. But before he could finish his words, his mouth suddenly opened wide. He was so scared that he couldn't finish his words. Bang! A loud sound came from the old man's side. It turned out that junior brother Bai Chi had exploded on the spot. This junior brother Bai Chi was one of the little elders of the Beijing sect. He had already stepped into the true spirit realm level 2, but he was killed in an instant in front of the people who came. Grand Elder Bai Kuei, who rushed over, suddenly stopped in midair. His pair of sinister eyes stared at Qin Feng, wishing he could see through Qin Feng from the inside out. Soon, Bai Kuei revealed a bewildered expression. He could see that Qin Feng only had the cultivation of the 7 changes of Buddha light. How could he kill a true spirit realm level 2 expert in an instant? Did someone die just now? The disciples in the distance still hadn't recovered from their shock. Many people didn't see who died. Yes, it's Elder Bai Chi who died. He was killed by that guy's sword. There were also disciples who were lucky enough to see the divine might of that sword. The crowd was instantly in an uproar. How is this possible? Isn't that guy a late-stage Buddha light realm cultivator? How could he kill a true spirit realm elder in an instant? We were all fooled by that grandson's appearance. I'm sure he ate a beautifying elixir and deliberately suppressed his strength. Maybe his true age is even older than our grand elder Bai Kuei. Qin Feng laughed off everyone's guesses, and his gaze descended onto Bai Kuei. This old man's aura was steady and strong, and he'd obviously stepped into the advanced stage of the true spirit realm. I know you've conserved your strength, but even if you go all out, you might not be a match for me. Not to mention our North Peak sect has the Nihility God Realm sect leader Bai Yuxian holding down the fort. He can annihilate you with a flick of his finger, so I advise you to surrender without a fight and kneel here to commit suicide as an apology. Bai Kuei spoke with conviction. Qin Feng looked at him as if he was looking at an idiot and said, "Is the Nihility God Realm so great? If you infuriate me, then I'll still beat you to the point you flee." When Qin Feng spoke such arrogant nonsense, Bai Kuei and the cultivators on the ground heaved a long sigh of relief in their hearts instead. They were unable to guess whether Qin Feng had help in the dark or not, and seeing this fellow maintain a fearless aura made everyone feel extremely uneasy. But he actually didn't even take a godly void god realm expert seriously. In this way, it would seem that he wasn't fearless because he had help, but he was really sick in the head. Chapter 1848. What an arrogant fellow. Let this old man show you what I'm made of. Bai Kuei was enraged. He stabbed out with his sword and instantly, a rain of swords appeared in the sky and enveloped the space where Qin Feng was. With this strike, Bai Kuei's level 7 true spirit cultivation was undoubtedly revealed. Qin Feng didn't dare to be careless and attacked almost at the same time. He held a silver spear in his hand, and as the spear trembled, it brought along thousands of silver spear lights that shot into the sky. 2 fierce attacks collided in the sky and it felt like the sky was shaking. The disciples had already retreated hundreds of meters away from the battlefield, deeply afraid of being injured by the aftershock. This kid is so powerful. Since he can withstand Grand Elder Bai Kuei's sword attack, Grand Elder Bai Kuei has already stepped into level 7 true spirit. I've already said that guy ate a beautifying elixir, so his actual age is probably over 100 years old. Otherwise, how many people in the entire South Flat continent would be able to step into the late true spirit realm at the age of 20? Only those genius disciples from the few 7-star sects have this kind of cultivation talent, right? I didn't expect our Beijing sect to get into such big trouble. I wonder how it will end in the end? While the crowd was discussing, Qin Feng and Bai Kuei had already exchanged hundreds of blows. The sword chi and spear lights that filled the sky constantly collided as if they were going to tear a hole in the sky. After another sword strike descended, Bai Kuei stopped his attack, and he stood on a flat ground as he looked at Qin Feng with a surprised expression. In the exchange earlier, Bai Kuei noticed that Qin Feng was really only at the 7th transformation of Buddhist radiance, but the aura that erupted from him was incomparably ferocious, and it was even to the extent that it wasn't inferior to him, a cultivator at the 7th level of the true spirit realm. Bai Kuei knew that there were many cultivators in the South Flat continent who could fight across realms. However, it was extremely rare to see someone like Qin Fin who could directly fight across an entire realm. Unless the other party cultivated an extremely heaven-defying cultivation technique or possessed a rare Dharma treasure. Bai Kuei could tell that the Dragon Quake Spear Qin Feng used was a true artifact, and it was a high-grade true artifact. Although a true artifact of this level was relatively rare in the South Flat continent, Bai Kuei didn't think that Qin Feng could rely on this Dragon Quake Spear to fight him to a draw. This kid has surely cultivated a heaven-defying cultivation technique. Bai Kuei muttered in his heart, and then he asked Qin Feng, "Which sect are you from? What's the point of asking all this now?" Qin Feng wasn't going to reveal his origins. I can see that the cultivation technique you are practicing is very unique. You must be from a 5-star sect or an even higher power. If that is the case, today's matter will end here. Bai Kuei's words stirred up the crowd. If Qin Feng really came from a 5-star sect, then the Beijing sect could only be considered to have suffered a loss this time. This was the rule of the divine continent. Everything depended on one's fists. In many cases, the name of a 5-star sect was more important than dozens of lives. You don't need to trick me. I don't belong to any sect, I'm just an independent cultivator. I definitely won't let today's matter go. Otherwise, in the future, everyone will bully my women. How will I have the face to live? Hua Xianyue blushed when she heard Qin Feng call her his woman. A sneer flashed across Bai Kuei's eyes. He was waiting for Qin Feng to say this. If Qin Feng really came from a big family or a sect, Bai Kuei wouldn't dare to covet his cultivation technique no matter how powerful it was. However, this kid turned out to be just an independent cultivator. Bai Kuei already had ideas about his cultivation technique. Good boy, you can't be bullied at will. Then is our Beijing sect a sect that can be bullied at will? Watch my sword. With a roar, Bai Kuei attacked again. When he attacked this time, Qin Feng could clearly feel that the sword chi in the air had become sharper. It was obvious that the old man in front of him was conserving his strength. Qin Feng still attacked with the dragon tremor spear. The spear body shook and thousands of silver spear lights shot out like sharp arrows. However, after this collision, the spear lights quickly dissipated, and there were still many sword shadows shooting out in the air, forcing Qin Feng to retreat. Great. Great Elder Bai Kuei has shown his strength. That ant is no match for the Great Elder. Since he dared to come to Beijing sect to cause trouble, he already knew that he would meet a tragic end. It's also because our sect leader Bai Xiaofeng is still in seclusion. Otherwise he would be able to kill that grandson with one palm. Bai Kuei had just gained the upper hand, and the disciples of the Beijing sect immediately shouted. However, Qin Feng acted as if he didn't hear anything. He realized that the dragon tremor spear couldn't deal with the opponent at all, so he immediately took out a golden longsword. Rumble. The golden sword appeared with a few bolts of lightning and exploded in the sky. The sudden change in the sky and the rolling thunder clouds stunned the crowd. Bai Kuei was stunned. When he came back to his senses, he found that 3 bolts of lightning had already landed on top of his head. Without thinking, he took out a small cauldron. The cauldron instantly became big and floated above his head. Moreover, it started to spin rapidly. Blue cauldron shadows flew out and blocked the descending lightning in midair. Qin Feng's lightning attract didn't injure Bai Kuei. He immediately slashed a second time and directly used the third form of the heavenly thunder technique, myriad lightning greeting. Immediately, the sound of thunder rang out and dozens of lightning bolts descended from the sky, bombarding the air above Bai Kuei's head. However, the round cauldron above his head spun faster and faster. Countless blue cauldron shadows flew out and actually blocked the attacks of dozens of lightning bolts. Looking at the round cauldron flying above Bai Kuei's head, Qin Feng suddenly thought of the 8-faced exquisite cauldron used by Long Outyin. The 8-faced exquisite cauldron was one of the 8 great spiritual cauldrons of the northern sand continent. During the battle at White Spirit Mountain, Long Outyin had also used the 8-faced exquisite cauldron to block the attacks. However, during that incomparable battle in the northern sand continent, Long Outyin was killed and his 8-faced exquisite cauldron had fallen into an unknown person's hands. When Qin Feng thought about how he didn't take that treasure away, he felt that it was a pity. Throwing aside his messy thoughts, Qin Feng slashed out again. The sky full of lightning bolts surged down, but they were unable to explode the dense and overlapping cauldron shadows. At this moment, Bai Kuei was both surprised and happy. He was surprised that Qin Feng could actually execute such a ferocious thundersword technique. He was also surprised that he had the green dragon cauldron with him. Otherwise, he would really be blown into pieces by the sky full of lightning bolts. The cauldron shadows that flew out from the green dragon cauldron increased in number, and there seemed to be a dragon's roar. Qin Feng switched to the Zhenyi sword. Although the heavenly thunder technique was powerful, it consumed a lot of inner qi. Seeing that the sea of lightning couldn't break the cauldron shadows, Qin Feng decided to change to another attack method. Rumble. When the Zhenyi sword slashed out, a silver sword light that was hundreds of meters long sliced through the void. Qin Feng didn't hold back this time, and the ferocious momentum caused the crowd to scream. However, only Qin Feng knew that the profoundness of this sword wasn't the sword chi attack on the surface, but the divine sense attack that was hidden in the dark. A Buddha light late-stage cultivator actually launched a divine sense attack against a true spirit late-stage cultivator? This kind of thing would make people laugh their heads off. However, Qin Feng really did it. Moreover, he was confident that he could make Bai Kuei suffer a loss. Just as Qin Feng guessed, Bai Kuei didn't dodge in the slightest when facing the ferocious sword Qi, and he similarly welcomed it with his sword. Another rainbow light appeared in the sky, and it was as if the air had been sliced into pieces. Seeing that Qin Feng didn't retreat from the beginning, a playful expression appeared in Bai Kuei's eyes. Haha. You dare to fight me head-on with your cultivation? You really don't know what's good for you. Rumble. The might of Qin Feng's sword had already descended, but it was blocked by the cauldron shadows of the green dragon cauldron above Bai Kuei's head. Following that, another loud sound rang out, and Qin Feng was blasted away by his opponent's sword Qi. Ah. That grandson has been defeated. What's there to be excited about? I knew that guy wasn't a match for our grand elder Bai Kuei. Under this sword, even if he doesn't die, he'll be crippled. Let's quickly go up and capture that arrogant bastard alive. When Qin Feng fell from the sky, the crowd went into an uproar. Bai Kuei's smile grew wider, but in the next second, his smile suddenly froze on his face. He originally wanted to kill the ground with his sword and completely cripple Qin Feng's dantian, but a piercing pain came from his mind, and it actually obstructed his actions. Divine Sense attack? How is this possible? Bai Kuei quickly realized where the problem was, but he couldn't accept this fact. Everyone knew that only cultivators who had broken through to the true spirit realm could use divine sense attacks. Even if some genius cultivators could comprehend the profoundness of divine sense in the Buddha's light realm, it was impossible for them to use their divine sense to attack a true spirit realm expert and even injure him. The piercing pain in his mind was extremely intense. Bai Kuei knew that not only was he injured, but his sea of consciousness was also severely injured. His old eyes were instantly filled with blood. One had to know that there weren't any elixirs that could recover the sea of consciousness in the entire South Flat continent. Once a true spirit realm cultivator's sea of consciousness was heavily injured, it was very likely that his cultivation would stop advancing. Rumble. A loud sound came from the ground. It turned out that a few cultivators had rushed up to capture Qin Feng alive. They thought that they were a match for the heavily injured Qin Feng, but they didn't expect that before they could even withstand the might of Qin Feng's sword, 5 early-stage Buddha's light realm cultivators had already exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. Following that, the disciples that followed suddenly stopped in their tracks. They realized the change in the situation. They originally thought that Qin Feng had been defeated, but from the looks of it, it seemed that this kid had tricked Elder Bai Kuei. You have quite a lot of treasures on you. You even have treasures that can attack with divine sense. This old man is going to tear you into pieces and take away all your treasures and techniques. Because his sea of consciousness was injured, Bai Kuei was completely enraged. He forcefully suppressed the pain in his sea of consciousness and leaped in front of Qin Feng. A sword strike in the air brought about thousands of sword lights. The entire air exploded and the sword hummed, shocking the crowd. Qin Feng didn't even think before stepping on his flying sword to escape. He knew that this was Bai Kuei's true strength. This true spirit realm 7 expert's full strength was even more powerful than Qin Feng had imagined. Or perhaps the South Flat Continent's true spirit realm experts were generally stronger than the North Sand Continent's cultivators of the same realm. No matter what, Qin Feng realized that he wouldn't be able to kill Bai Kuei with his cultivation alone. However, he was hesitating whether he should take out his sure-kill divine weapon, the 100-mile light sniper. If he took out the 100-mile light sniper and fired it, he would definitely be able to blast Bai Kuei into pieces. However, Qin Feng was worried about the Beijing sect leader. It was said that the sect leader was a godly venerable who had stepped into the Nihility God realm. If he used his trump card now, what would he do if the Nihility God realm sect leader was prepared? Master, try the power of the 7-colored ghost face soul banner. Little Pig suddenly said. Chapter 1849. When Little Pig said the name of the rainbow ghost face soul pennant, Qin Feng felt a sense of unfamiliarity. However, images of several small pennants quickly appeared in his mind. Those 4 pennants were thrown out by the old man who was trapped in the stone wall seal of White Spirit Mountain. At that time, Qin Feng didn't know what they were, so he didn't expect Little Pig to mention them. Since Little Pig mentioned it, there must be a reason for it. Qin Feng thought about it and 4 palm-sized banners appeared in his hands. Each of the banners was made of 7 different colors and had a unique aura. Qin Feng hadn't been able to figure out what these banners could do, so he sent some inner qi into them and threw them out. Buzz. Suddenly, a strange energy wave spread out. Qin Feng was shocked. He was very familiar with this energy wave. It was the energy of a formation, and it was a rank 6 formation. When the palm-sized pennants rose into the air, they suddenly enlarged and formed 4 sky-reaching walls that pierced into the ground, sealing off the space. Bai Kuei was trapped inside, and a chaotic sound came from the space of the pennants. It was the sound of Bai Kuei's sword chi exploding on the pennants. What the hell are these 4 huge pennants? The colors are so colorful that it makes people dizzy. This is one of the 8 great holy items of ghost cultivators, the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul Pennant? If it really is the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul Pennant, then Elder Bai Kuei is in danger. I've also heard of the 7-colored Ghost Face Soul banner. Rumor has it that this magic treasure hides a ghost array. Those who are trapped in it will be like they have encountered a ghost wall, unable to escape. The level of the ghost array is extremely high, reaching the level of a level 6 trap array. Even a Nihility God Realm cultivator would not be able to break the trap of the 7-colored Ghost Face Soul banner. Why does this guy have the holy item of ghost cultivators? Could he be a ghost cultivator? The crowd was in an uproar. They were all discussing the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul Pennant. Qin Feng learned more about the 7-colored Ghost Face Soul flag from these people. He couldn't help but feel a bit awkward. He had obtained the 7-colored Ghost Face Soul flag, but he didn't know as much about it as others. Ayaya, you actually have the 7-colored Ghost Face Soul streamer. I advise you to let me out, or I'll tear you to pieces after I break this streamer. Bai Kuei's roar sounded out from within the Ghost Face Soul Pennant, yet Qin Feng seemed as if he didn't hear it. It was the first time he'd used the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul Pennant, and he was slightly rusty in controlling it. However, the battle this time just happened to be able to use it to familiarize himself with it, and it would be easy to use after using it a few more times. Master. After the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner was activated, it would form a formation. Within the formation there would be a ghost formation. Those trapped would not be able to escape, as if they were trapped by a trap formation. Also, the 4 rainbow banners have the ability to attack with divine sense, and can help Master kill enemies faster. Little Pig gave a detailed introduction. Qin Feng was overjoyed. He was very satisfied with this ghostly cultivator's holy item. It had a ghost formation that was comparable to a level 6 trap formation to trap people. It also had a divine sense attack to interfere. All he had to do was cut a few times and even a godly Master Void God would die. Rumble. Everything had to be done with facts. Qin Feng immediately slashed down with his sword. The Zhen Yi sword in his hand brought out a silver sword light that was several hundred meters long. When he attacked from the outside, the 4 rainbow banners seemed to be transparent, and the sword chi entered the formation without any obstruction. Rumble. A loud sound shook the sky, but no movement could be seen from outside the banners. However, Bai Kuei's crazy roar could be heard. You little bastard, using such a despicable method to deal with me. If you have the guts, then fight me fair and square. Qin Feng wouldn't fall for his trick. He sneered and said, Ha! You still have the nerve to say fair and square? You're a late-stage true spirit realm cultivator and you want to fight with me, a Buddha's light realm cultivator, don't you feel ashamed? Bai Kuei spat out a mouthful of old blood. He was angered by Qin Feng's words, and while he was distracted, he was injured by the sword chi. He didn't expect Qin Feng to let him go, so he immediately circulated his true essence and madly attacked with his sword. A sword chi vortex formed in the formation, and it continuously collided with the 4 rainbow banners. Loud sounds rose and fell, but the banners were incomparably hard and didn't have any reaction. Old man, you don't need to struggle on your deathbed. I'll send you to hell now. Rumble. Qin Feng was still a little worried that the banners would be broken. He immediately slashed out a few times and suddenly the weather changed. Dozens of lightning bolts fell from the sky. Bai Kuei's expression changed greatly, and the azure dragon cauldron above his head began to spin. However, the round cauldron hadn't been activated for long when a piercing pain came from his sea of consciousness. He was so frightened that he immediately put away the azure dragon cauldron. This tattered banners actually have a divine sense attack? Bai Kuei was shocked in his heart. No wonder the rumor said that the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner was one of the 8 great sacred objects of ghost cultivators. Its power really couldn't be underestimated. In the instant he was stunned, several lightning bolts fell to the ground and exploded around him. Bai Kuei was powerless, and he didn't have the time to raise the long sword in his hand again. A few clouds of blood sprayed out from his body. However, Qin Feng didn't dare to be negligent in the slightest. The opponent was a true Spirit Realm 7 expert after all. He only stopped after a few more myriad lightning strikes. At this moment, Bai Kuei's figure was nowhere to be seen. There was only a ground full of burnt blood. Just as the banners were put away, a shadow shot over from the distance. Qin Fan didn't think and immediately threw out the banners again, trapping the figure in the formation. Crackle. The third style of the heavenly thunder technique was unleashed again. Lightning suddenly appeared in the formation, and a few low roars came out. Which ant dares to cause trouble in my Beijing sect? When they heard this voice, the crowd was stunned. This was the voice of the sect master, Bai Xiaofeng. The sect master is here. That brat is dead for sure. What are you looking at? Even the sect master is trapped. Our Beijing sect is doomed today. Even the Void God sect master isn't that guy's match? Who exactly is he? When the discussion sounded, Qin Fan realized that the person trapped by the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner was Bai Xiaofeng. As soon as he learned this information, he immediately launched a series of fierce attacks. Before he came to Beijing sect, Mushin Mo and He Chao had told him that the sect master of Beijing sect was rumored to have stepped into the Void God realm. Facing a Void God realm expert, Qin Fan wouldn't let his guard down at all. There were continuous loud noises in the formation, and Bai Xiaofeng's anguished cries could be heard. Qin Fan had a strange feeling in his heart. Although Little Pig had told him that the 4 7-colored ghost face soul streamers could trap a hollow god realm powerhouse, he still felt that it was too easy when it actually happened. Could it be that a hollow god realm ultimate god would be killed so easily? Boom. Just as he was feeling puzzled, a loud noise came from behind him. The loud noise brought with it an extremely ferocious aura. It was definitely the aura of a void god realm cultivator. Qin Fan's expression changed drastically as he realized that he had fallen into the opponent's trap. However, it was too late for him to dodge. As soon as he circulated his inner qi to protect his body, he was sent flying by the violent explosion. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood when he fell to the ground. His stomach was churning and he felt like his internal organs had shifted positions. Not far away, the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner was still standing on the ground. The sound of the explosion came from it, and Bai Xiaofeng's cries of pain could be heard. However, Qin Fan did not even look in that direction. Instead, he looked at the empty space 100 meters away. There was a figure floating in midair. That person had white hair and a white robe that fluttered in the wind. His body emitted an aura that seemed to be both light and mist. However, Qin Fan was sure that this figure was Bai Xiaofeng's real body, and the figure trapped in the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner was just a clone. You're just an ant at the Buddha's light realm. Do you think you can do whatever you want with a few high-class true weapons? Everyone below the Void God realm is an ant. You can kill Bai Kuei, but you can never kill me. Bai Xiaofeng's voice came out, but he did not open his mouth. His voice was transmitted through true essence. It was like a loud bell and it reverberated in everyone's mind. Qin Fan did not reply. He had just swallowed a few qi-consolidating healing pills and was quickly recovering his inner qi. At the same time, his mind was racing. With his current cultivation, it was impossible for him to kill an empty God realm powerhouse. He could only use the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner to trap Bai Xiaofeng and then use the 100-mile light sniper to kill him. However, the Ghost Face Soul banner had already been exposed. Bai Xiaofeng was cunning and had used a clone to trick him into revealing the Soul banner. The next thing Qin Fan could think of was to use imprisonment to defeat Bai Xiaofeng. However, activating imprisonment required a large amount of inner qi and divine sense. Moreover, Bai Xiaofeng was an empty God realm powerhouse. Qin Fan did not know if imprisonment would have any effect on him. Before Qin Fan could think of a countermeasure, a huge palm fell from the sky. It was just a palm that Bai Xiaofeng had casually slapped down, but it brought with it a momentum that could collapse mountains and split the earth. Even the people standing hundreds of meters away felt an extreme pressure in their hearts, let alone Qin Fan, who was at the center of the battlefield. He opened his mouth and began to vomit blood. He could not stop vomiting blood, and his body felt as if there was a weight of thousands of kilograms pressing down on him. Even his movement speed had slowed down. Buzz. At this moment of life and death, Qin Fan no longer hesitated and swung his saber with all his might. With the imprisonment in his hand, the air above his head suddenly vibrated, emitting waves of strange energy fluctuations. With Qin Fan as the center, time stopped within a radius of 500 meters. Even the air stopped flowing. The surrounding cultivators were in a myriad of poses. Their expressions remained the same as they were a second ago, and some of them still had their arms in the air. Qin Fan was the only one who could move in the imprisonment space. When he was about to swing his saber at Bai Xiaofeng, his expression changed. He noticed that the expression on Bai Xiaofeng's face had changed from surprise to shock. He's moving? Qinfen was shocked. This was the first time he had encountered someone who was not frozen in time ever since he used imprisonment. Realm? You've comprehended the existence of the realm? Bai Xiaofeng could really move. He was still mumbling to himself, looking as if he had seen a ghost. In the Divine Continent's division of realms, there was a huge gap in strength between each major realm. Starting from the Buddha Aura realm, a cultivator's body would emit a Buddha Aura every time he or she broke through a realm. This Buddha Aura had powerful defensive abilities. It might not be able to withstand a single blow from a true spirit realm cultivator, but it would be difficult for a Saint King realm cultivator to break through the Buddha Aura's defense. At the true spirit realm, a cultivator's body would condense true yuan, and the true yuan would be able to take shape. They could even create true yuan blades and swords out of thin air. Moreover, a true spirit realm cultivator's spirit core would appear in their body. As long as the spirit core was not destroyed, they could be reborn. However, after rebirth their cultivation would be lost, and they would have to start all over again. At the Void God realm, a cultivator would have an extra clone. As long as the clone was not destroyed, the cultivator could use the clone to reforge his or her real body, and his or her cultivation would not decrease. On the other hand, clones were not the strongest manifestation of a Nihility God realm cultivator. After reaching the Nihility God realm, some cultivators with great talent would begin to understand the existence of the realm. Once they understood the realm, their strength would be different from before. In Bai Xiaofeng's eyes, Qinfen's confinement attack was the embodiment of the realm. Chapter 1850. Qinfen heard Bai Xiaofeng's words, but he did not understand. What was state? Why did Bai Xiaofeng say that he understood state? Why did he look so shocked? Qinfen couldn't figure out why, but he didn't have the time to think about it. When he saw Bai Xiaofeng suddenly freeze in midair, he immediately activated the Rainbow Ghost Face Soul banner. The 4 banners shot out like flying arrows and instantly surrounded Bai Xiaofeng, forming a new formation around him. Phew. Seeing that Bai Xiaofeng was trapped, Qinfen let out a long sigh of relief. However, he heard Bai Xiaofeng's roar coming from the formation. Who are you? What realm are you in? How can you use state? How did you understand it? Qinfen wondered if the old man was having an epileptic fit. He actually said something that others couldn't understand. Moreover, he was currently trapped by the 7-colored Ghost Face Soul banner, but instead of worrying about his own situation, he was still asking questions about the situation. What just happened? Is the sect leader crazy? How can he go crazy at a time like this? What do you know? The sect leader is not crazy, he's just scared by that kid. That kid actually understood state? Legend has it that only mid to late Void God realm cultivators can understand it. The crowd was excited once again. Qinfen had brought them too many surprises. There was an old saying in the Divine Continent, all below the Void God realm are ants. Even if one was in the true spirit realm, they had not reached the true threshold of cultivation. The origin of this saying was reflected in the appearance of state. Only Void God realm cultivators could start to understand state. Once one state appeared, one would be the master within that realm. Qinfen came from the North Sand Continent, so he did not know about the existence of state. He did not understand state either. The reason why he created the illusion of state was because of the power of the imprisonment. In the Northern Sand Continent, there were only a handful of virtual God realm cultivators. The ultimate gods who had stepped into the middle or late virtual God realm were even rarer. Even Dong Shensu and the rest of the immortal venerables did not really understand the true meaning of the realm. Therefore, Qinfen could not understand Bai Xiaofeng's actions. He only thought that Bai Xiaofeng was crazy. What's so great about a Void God realm cultivator? How dare you bully my woman? If you deserve to die, then die. When Qinfen said the same thing again, the effect was completely different. Previously, everyone had a mocking and playful attitude, but at this time, the group of cultivators from the Beijing sect were full of fear and trepidation. A cool-looking spear appeared in Qinfen's hand. The spear's body was surrounded by white lightning, so dazzling that some people couldn't open their eyes. The design of the light sniper was somewhat similar to that of a Chinese sniper, but in the Divine Continent, it was an extremely strange thing. None of the Northern Peace Faction cultivators could recognize what a light sniper was, but when Qinfen fired it, its power shocked everyone. Rumble. Several white lightning bolts as thick as a man's waist exploded in the formation of the Ghost Face Soul banners. A loud sound rang out in the air as if the sky was being torn apart. The instant the lightning bolt hit the ground shook violently. Even the rainbow ghost face soul banner swayed a few times. Bai Xiaofeng let out a miserable howl. Even though he was trapped in the ghost face soul banner, he had never felt fear. The 4 soul banners could at most temporarily trap him, but he didn't believe that Qin Fin could kill him. But the moment the lightning bolt exploded, an aura of death approached. Bai Xiaofeng's expression changed drastically. He had just stepped into the empty god realm not long ago, so he was very familiar with the power of lightning. Wasn't this the lightning tribulation of breaking through to the empty god realm? Who was this kid? He could even release the empty god realm lightning tribulation. Lightning tribulation. This is the empty god realm lightning tribulation. Some disciples were startled. When Bai Xiaofeng broke through not long ago, he had felt the power of the lightning tribulation. When the news of the empty god realm lightning tribulation descending on the Beijing sect spread, the entire Beijing sect was shaken. Many disciples started to run for their lives, no longer hoping that sect leader Bai Xiaofeng could kill Qin Fin. In a small forest several hundred meters away from the city gate, Mushin Mo and He Chao raised their heads and looked at the sky. They maintained this posture for a long time. Even though their necks had become stiff, they still stared at the sky without blinking, afraid that they would miss something. Senior Mushin Mo, what is this? Looking at the apocalyptic scene, He Chao's eyes almost fell out of their sockets. Although he was standing thousands of meters away from the lightning source with his cultivation base, he still felt a huge pressure on his heart, making it hard for him to breathe. Mushin Mo's expression was not much better. His beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Lightning tribulation. It should be the empty god realm lightning tribulation. What? Empty god realm lightning tribulation? Looks like the rumors are true. The Beijing sect leader has really stepped into the empty god realm. He actually used the lightning tribulation to attack sect leader Qin. Sect leader Qin is doomed. He Chao's expression was blank, and he was in extreme despair. However, Mushin Mo flew towards the direction of the Beijing sect. His voice echoed on the spot. Bai Xiaofeng has already broken through to the empty god realm, so he can't use the empty god realm lightning tribulation. This is a little strange. I'll go in and take a look. You just stay here. When the 10th lightning tribulation struck, Bai Xiaofeng could no longer hold it back. Although he was a godly venerable who had successfully resisted the empty god realm lightning tribulation and survived, he was fully prepared for that breakthrough. He had countless spirit armors, shields, and defensive formations. Now that he had come out of seclusion to fight Qin Fin, all the artifacts he could use had been destroyed by the lightning bolts. Moreover, he was trapped in the 7-colored ghost face soul banner. This holy artifact of ghost cultivators was not to be trifled with. Not only did it have ghost formations, but it also had divine consciousness attacks. Loud explosions sounded continuously, and Bai Xiaofeng began to vomit blood. His robe was in tatters and his face was covered in dirt. Black smoke was rising from the top of his head. Apart from Qin Fin, no one could see his current sorry state because the Beijing sect disciples had already started running for their lives. Even if there were disciples who could see Bai Xiaofeng, they would not be able to recognize his current bloody state. Brat, stop right now or I'll die with you. Bai Xiaofeng's roar came through the soul banner. What responded to him were another 3 shocking lightning bolts. Bai Xiaofeng vomited a few more mouthfuls of blood and knelt on the ground. There was not a single part of his body that was unscathed. His skin was charred black, and the stench of burnt blood permeated the air. If you stop, I'll pretend this never happened. I promise I won't trouble you again. Bai Xiaofeng's attitude quickly changed, but Qin Fin did not care about what he said. Even if he was telling the truth, Qin Fin would not spare him. Mercy to the enemy was cruelty to oneself. This was the basic rule of survival on the divine mainland. Bai Xiaofeng seemed to feel that he was about to die, so he shouted before he died, "If you really want to kill me, then at least let me know how I died." How did you comprehend the boundary? You idiot, I don't know what a boundary is. Chapter 1851. Rumble. When Mu Shan Mo arrived at the battlefield, she saw a wave of ferocious lightning falling to the ground. If not for the 4 strange banners blocking the aura, everything within a radius of several hundred meters would have been blasted into ruins. Mu Shan Mo heard Bai Xiaofeng's dying wail from the rainbow ghost face banner, but her expression suddenly changed, and she stabbed her sword towards the distant sky. Not good, sect leader Qin, Bai Xiaofeng's clone is trying to escape. It turned out that the sword was aimed at Bai Xiaofeng's clone, but Mu Shan Mo's realm was too low, so the sword Qi missed. Seeing that the clone turned into a black shadow and was about to disappear into the distance, Mu Shan-mo became anxious. She knew that if she did not destroy the clone of a hollow god cultivator, the other party could use the clone to reconstruct his real body and maintain his cultivation. Whoosh. Almost at the same time she warned Qin Fin, a loud sound came from the distant sky. Half of the sky was illuminated by lightning, and several lightning bolts suddenly appeared. Everywhere they went, the air seemed to be torn apart. Bai Xiaofeng's clone was instantly submerged in the sea of lightning, and not even ashes were left. Seeing this, Mu Shan-mo let out a long sigh of relief. Her beautiful figure flickered and finally landed beside Qin Fin. She did not dare to look Qin Fin in the eyes, and her heart was already in turmoil. Although she guessed that Qin Fin had hidden his strength, she did not expect him to be able to kill even a hollow god stage divine master. The weapon he used before was really strange, and it was Mu Shan-mo's first time seeing such a weapon. The power of this weapon was earth-shattering, and it could actually release lightning that was comparable to a hollow god lightning tribulation. "Senior, are you all right?" Mu Shan-mo's way of addressing Qin Fin had changed. She had suspected that Qin Fin had eaten a beauty pill, and now she was sure of it. She even felt that Qin Fin's real age was even older than her. Qin Fin understood what Mu Shan-mo was thinking, but he did not explain. At this moment he had already put away the rainbow ghost face banner and 100-mile light sniper, and was sitting cross-legged on the ground to recuperate. He had used up all his trump cards in this battle, and he had almost lost his life in Beijing sect. However, the spoils of the battle were still very bountiful. He took away the storage rings of Bai Kuei and the others and even Bai Xiaofeng's storage rings. These storage rings contained a large amount of cultivation resources, spirit stones, spirit herbs and materials for equipment refinement and array formations. However, there was nothing that caught Qin Fin's eye. By the time Qin Feng had adjusted his breathing, He Chao had also rushed over. When he saw the ruins and corpses, He Chao's eyes widened. He felt like he was dreaming. "Sect leader Qin, did you kill all these people? Bai Xiaofeng didn't show up?" He Chao's voice trembled. Without waiting for Qin Fin to speak, Mu Shan-mo said, "They were all killed by Senior Qin. Bai Xiaofeng already appeared and he was also killed." These simple words almost scared He Chao to death. Before coming here, he had tried his best to persuade Qin Feng not to throw away his life. He never would have thought that sect leader Qin would single-handedly annihilate a 4-star sect. "Senior Qin, what do you plan to do next?" Mu Shan-mo was now very respectful towards Qin Feng. This was a cultivator who could kill a nihility god. He was not someone he could offend. Qin Feng had just arrived at the South Flat Continent. Now that he had found Hua Xianyu, he planned to go to the Panshan market to find his father and the others. Before that, he had to settle Hua Xianyu down. After all, Hua Xianyu's cultivation level was too low, and it would be more troublesome to bring her along. At this moment, a beautiful figure landed. It was Hua Xianyu who flew over. The battle in front was too intense, and with her realm she couldn't get close to the battle. She waited for the battle to calm down for a while before she broke through the resistance of the aftershocks and rushed over. "Master? Is it really you?" Seeing Mu Shan-mo as soon as she arrived, Hua Xianyu was very excited. Mu Shan-mo hugged her in his arms and stroked her hair. "Xianyu, my disciple, you have suffered during this period of time." Hua Xianyu's tears flowed uncontrollably. Although she pretended to be strong on the surface, her experiences during this period of time were terrible. She was even prepared to commit suicide today. Unexpectedly, at the crucial moment, Qin Feng descended from the sky on his flying sword. "Master, I am fine now. Let me introduce you. This is my partner." Hua Xianyu hesitated and changed friend to partner. Her pretty face blushed and she immediately said, "Qin Feng, this is Mu Shan-mo's master. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time. Otherwise I would have been in danger." Mu Shan-mo wiped away the tears on Hua Xianyu's face and said with a smile, "Don't cry. It's all better now. I already know Senior Qin. This morning he found Mu Shanzi to look for you, so I brought him here." Qin Feng and Hua Xianyu had met for a short time before Qin Feng started fighting with the cultivators of the Beijing sect. Only now did Hua Xianyu know how Qin Feng found her. Hua Xianyu did not know where Qin Feng found her. It could be the South Flat Continent or even another continent. She even suspected that Qin Feng and the others had died. Even if they were not dead, it was very likely that they did not know that she was here. However, the moment Qin Feng appeared, Hua Xianyu's emotions were indescribable. Not only did she know that Qin Feng was not dead, but she also knew that Qin Feng had not forgotten about her. He had even risked everything to save her. The two of them naturally hugged each other. After a moment of warmth, Qin Feng said to Mu Shanmo, "Sect leader Mu, I plan to occupy the base of the Beijing sect. What do you think?" Qin Feng did not know much about the South Flat Continent, so he planned to listen to Mu Shanmo's suggestion. Now that Bai Xiaofeng is dead, even if some of the cultivators of the North Flat Continent escaped, they definitely would not dare to come back for revenge. The Beijing sect is a 4-star sect after all. The location they chose is rich in spirit qi, and the construction of the sect is also very good. If Senior Qin likes this place, it would naturally be best for him to occupy it. Qin Feng realized that he might be thinking too much. When he occupied the Beijing sect, he was worried about the rules of the South Flat Continent. However, from Mu Shanmo's words, the other party was concerned about whether he would like this place. Qin Feng had just arrived, so of course he would like the Beijing sect. Moreover, the construction of a 4-star sect in the South Flat Continent was as spectacular as that of an ordinary 5-star sect in the North Sand Continent. The density of spirit qi here even surpassed that of a 5-star sect. Since he had an idea, he had to put it into action. In that battle, many places of the Beijing sect had been blasted into ruins. Mu Shanmo called all of Mu Shanzi's disciples over to help clean up. Meanwhile, Qin Feng drew up a blueprint. He planned to transform the Beijing sect into China's hero city. A month later, the model of the hero city had been built. Qin Feng specially guarded the Beijing sect for a month. He was worried that the disciples of the Beijing sect who had escaped would come to take revenge. However, he did not see even a shadow for a month. In fact, Qin Feng was also worried about one thing. When he killed Bai Xiaofeng, he had used the thunder tribulation stored in the energy tank. When he had triggered the 9 changes true thunder in the North Sand Continent, he had attracted the attention of the immortal venerables. He was afraid that there would be experts from the South Flat Continent. In the end, not a single Nihility God expert had come for a month. Chapter 1852. Soon Qin Fen understood. In the Northern Sand Continent, there were only a handful of Nihility God cultivators, but in the South Plain Continent, Nihility God cultivators were only above average. Even the sect leader of a 4-star sect was at Nihility God level 1. Therefore, when the Nihility God lightning tribulation appeared, it would not cause a huge commotion. However, Bai Xiaofeng's death still attracted some attention in Sand City. This news was probably spread by the disciples of the Beijing sect who had escaped. They did not know Qin Fen's identity. In the end, the news became that Mu Shanzi had led people to eradicate the Northern Peace sect. For a time, the entire Sand City was talking about Mu Shanzi's appearance of a Nihility God venerable, and a late-stage Nihility God at that. Otherwise, how could he have easily killed Bai Xiaofeng and destroyed the entire Beijing sect? In the end, the news reached Qin Fen's ears. When he heard this, he was quite happy. After staying in Sand City for more than a month, he had a general understanding of the situation here. There was only one 5-star sect in the entire Sand City. Previously, Beijing sect was considered an upper-middle sect. Now that Beijing sect had been destroyed and Mu Shanzi had risen, he believed that the other sects in Sand City would not cause trouble for Mu Shanzi. The situation in Sand City was considered to have completely stabilized. Qin Fen changed the name of Beijing sect to Hero City so that some cultivators in the South Plain continent could find this place. At the same time, Mu Shanzi moved his base to Hero City. Currently, Hero City was mainly supported by Mu Shanzi's forces. Hua Xianyu and He Chao were both at the Immortal Qi realm and would not stand a chance in Sand City. During this month, apart from building Hero City, Qin Fen spent the rest of his time cultivating and comprehending. His cultivation had reached the peak of the Buddhist Light 7 changes and was only a step away from breaking through to the 8 changes. He also refined many elixirs and array flags. The elixirs were for Hua Xianyu and the others to use for their breakthroughs. The array flags were for himself because he planned to set off for Mount Pan Market. He had to find Emperor Qin and the others as soon as possible. Actually, Qin Fen had thought of developing in the South Plain continent. He also had a way to quickly rise in the South Plain continent. If he could make the fragrant consciousness pill, he believed that he would shock the entire South Plain continent. However, he eventually gave up on these thoughts. His main motive for coming to the South Flat continent was to find people and achieve a breakthrough. Deep in his heart, there was a sense of hatred. He still wanted to kill his way back to the North Sand continent to take revenge for Ouyang Jun and the others. Before leaving, Mu Shanmo gave him a map of the South Flat continent. Qin Feng followed the markings on the map and flew for 7 days and 7 nights before arriving at Panshan Market. As soon as he arrived, Qin Fan felt hundreds of strong auras. These auras were existences that he could not see through. Now, as long as it was a cultivator of the true spirit realm or below, Qin Fan could see through their realms. This meant that there were hundreds of empty God realm cultivators in this Panshan market. This was a fact that Qin Fan found hard to accept. Panshan City Square was dozens of times larger than Sand City. There were more than 10 main streets and every street was filled with people. It felt like something big was going to happen. Qin Feng had already put away the flying cloud all at the outskirts of Panshan Market. Then he hurried on his flying sword. When he arrived at the outskirts of Panshan Market, he suddenly felt a strong pressure, causing his flying sword to automatically descend to the ground. There's a flight restriction formation here? Qin Feng quickly discovered the problem and couldn't help but be shocked. Actually, the flight restriction formation was only a level 4 formation, and Qin Feng could create it himself. However, this was only relatively easy for Qin Feng. In the entire South Flat continent, there weren't many level 4 formation masters. Moreover, the entire Panshan market had a flight restriction formation which consumed a lot of materials. However, just as he arrived at Panshan market, Qin Feng once again felt the huge difference between the South Flat continent and the North Sand continent. The North Sand continent had very little spiritual energy and lacked all sorts of materials. Flight restriction formations would only appear in major cities like Pill City, but in the South Flat continent, one could find one anywhere. Unable to fly, Qin Feng walked all the way to Panshan Market. Luckily, his walking speed was very fast and he soon reached the city gates. Please show me your sect token. There was a row of guards standing at the city gates. The two people who stopped Qin Feng were already in the late true spirit realm. Qin Feng was once again deeply shocked. Were all the guards in the South Flat continent so powerful? I'm a rogue cultivator, I don't have a sect token. Qin Feng found a random excuse. The guard said, rogue cultivators have to pay 500 high-grade spirit stones to enter the city. Qin Feng immediately realized that whether it was the South Flat continent or the North Sand continent, rogue cultivators were a weak group. However, the rogue cultivators in the North Sand continent had formed a hall of famed generals, and had developed greatly. He wondered if there was a rogue cultivator alliance in the South Flat continent. 500 spirit stones was nothing to Qin Feng. He paid the spirit stones and entered Panshan Market. However, he did some calculations. Although 500 spirit stones was not much, there were at least 1,000 rogue cultivators entering Panshan Market every day. If he could earn 500,000 high-grade spirit stones in a day, that would be close to 200 million spirit stones in a year. This was a huge sum. Qin Feng did not know who managed Panshan Market, but he found a way to develop it. After he became stronger and returned to the North Sand continent, he planned to develop Lingxian Kingdom. When that time came, he would have to collect spirit stones from the cultivators who entered Lingxian Kingdom. Just as he was thinking, he unknowingly walked into a weapon shop. Suddenly, there was an ear-piercing sound in his mind. It was the sound of the spirit-seeking bug. Little pig, what did that little bug say? Qin Feng asked. Master, the spirit-seeking bug found a treasure. Follow its sense to find the treasure. Little pig sounded excited. Qin Feng immediately became spirited. This spirit-seeking bug was a bug that the system rewarded him for free after he opened the spirit bug interface. It was a rank 1 spirit bug and had a sharp sense of smell. It was good at finding spirit sources. However, Qin Feng had never used the spirit-seeking bug to find a treasure. Now that the spirit-seeking bug had sensed something, Qin Feng was somewhat excited. What level of treasure did the bug find? The spirit-seeking bug's sense was very strong. Qin Feng followed the direction of the sense and walked into the shop called Xingkuan Weapon Workshop. As soon as he entered the shop, the waiter greeted him warmly. Senior, what kind of weapon do you want? Qin Feng didn't look in the direction of the sense because that would be too abrupt. He glanced in that direction and saw that there were some sabers placed there. He pretended to say, I'm lacking a handy saber. Do you have it here? Senior, please follow me. Our Xingkuan Weapon Workshop is famous in the entire South Pingzhou state. We have all kinds of weapons. Moreover, the quality is good and the price is low. You can definitely buy it without worry and use it comfortably. This advertising slogan was a bit familiar. Qin Feng was dazed for a moment and felt like he was back in China. He followed the waiter to the innermost row of display racks. This row of display racks was filled with all kinds of sabers. They ranged from blue grade to gold grade. There were even a few red grade Scarlet Devil and destructive dark grade weapons. However, he didn't see any true grade weapons. As if seeing through Qin Feng's thoughts, the waiter smiled and said, Senior, please take a look first. If you don't like the sabers here, I can take you to the second floor. There are a few true weapon-level treasured sabers there. They are the treasures of the shop, but they are much more expensive. Qin Feng was shocked. The South Pingzhou state was indeed more powerful than the North San state. True-grade weapons could be sold in a weapon shop. In the North San state, no matter how rich one was, it was impossible to buy a true-grade weapon. When he entered the room, Qin Feng found that the place the spirit-seeking bug was pointing to was above his head. Obviously, it was the true-grade weapon in the compartment upstairs. Qin Feng felt a bit helpless. True-grade weapons were treasures, but he believed that the price in this shop wouldn't be low. It might not even be something that could be bought with spirit stones. Otherwise, the true-grade weapons upstairs would have been bought by other cultivators. At the same time, Qin Feng could also guess that although there were some true weapons upstairs, there was an 80% chance that they were low-grade true weapons. Now that he had several true weapon longswords and a top-grade true weapon imprisonment, the imprisonment was a treasured blade. He did not need to buy a true weapon-level blade anymore. However, since he was here, Qin Feng decided to take a look upstairs. He wanted to know what grade the true-grade weapons in the South Pingzhou state were and what their prices were. Qin Feng pretended to look around on the first floor. He shook his head and said, No, there aren't any sabers that I like. Why don't you take me to the second floor?" The waiter was pleasantly surprised. His commission was based on the sales ratio. The higher the price of the weapon, the higher his commission. This was the same principle as China's sales commission. There was only a small compartment on the second floor. However, as soon as he entered, Qin Feng felt that the spirit qi inside was many times denser than downstairs. The feeling in his mind became stronger and stronger. He followed the feeling to the innermost shelf of the compartment. In fact, this small compartment was not big. It was about 30 square meters and there were a total of 3 shelves. On each shelf were 3 long sabers for a total of 9 treasured sabers. The 9 sabers were of different shapes. Qin Feng found something fishy with a glance. Among these 9 sabers, only 3 had reached the level of a true-grade weapon. Among them, 2 were low-grade true-grade weapons and 1 was mid-grade. As for the other 6 sabers, they were all top-notch destructive dark equipment. Although they had not reached the level of a true-grade weapon, they had the illusion of being fake true-grade weapons. Qin Feng stood next to the mid-grade true-grade long saber. It was a thin saber with a lifelike green crane carved on its body. It was called the green crane saber. Qin Feng was not interested in the green crane saber. It was far inferior to his shackle. However, the treasure found by the spirit-seeking bug was this green crane saber. To be more precise, it was an ornament placed next to the green crane saber. "Senior, you have a good eye. This green crane saber is the most precious treasure of our store. It is the highest grade among all the sabers. This saber can cut iron like mud and can break through the void. It is a sharp weapon for killing and self-defense." Seeing that Qin Feng seemed to be interested in the green crane saber, the waiter spared no effort in introducing it. Qin Feng pretended to ask, "How much is this saber?" Chapter 1853. The waiter was overjoyed and immediately said, "Senior, this green crane saber is quite cheap. It only costs 500 million high-grade spirit stones, 100 supreme-grade spirit stones, 10 spiritual pearls, a bottle of void-breaching pills or a level 6 formation disc." Qin Feng was speechless. The waiter seemed a little embarrassed. The price he quoted was definitely not cheap. At least 80% of the cultivators in the South Pingzhou continent could not afford this green crane saber. Qin Feng thought that it was just as he had guessed. A mid-grade true weapon would not be cheap. However, he was still shocked when he heard the quoted price. It was higher than he had expected. In fact, the price of spirit stones in the Divine Supreme Continent was similar to Chinese yuan. 500 million spirit stones could be seen as 500 million Chinese yuan. How many people in China could earn 500 million Chinese yuan in their lifetime? Moreover, this green crane saber required 100 supreme-grade spirit stones and 10 spiritual pearls. Qin Feng had only collected 20 to 30 supreme-grade spirit stones. As for spiritual pearls, they were even rarer. When he found the creation chapter in the 5 Elements Mountain, he found 8 spiritual pearls. However, he used them up when he set up the formation at the Huaxia Chamber of Commerce. Now he did not even have a single spiritual pearl. The void-breaching pill and level 6 formation disc were not things that ordinary cultivators could get their hands on. "Senior, do you think the price is acceptable? If it is, I can give you a slight discount," the waiter asked carefully, afraid that the deal would fall through. Qin Feng hadn't come to buy the green crane saber from the start. His gaze vaguely fell on the palm-sized accessory hanging from the hilt of the green crane saber. It looked like a token, but it was completely black. Normal people would definitely not pay attention to this token because they couldn't sense any spiritual energy from it at all. It was practically trash compared to the most common low-grade spirit stone. However, the treasure that the spirit-seeking bug had sensed was this trash token. This made Qin Feng feel helpless. Little pig, is the spirit-seeking bug reliable? Qin Feng communicated telepathically. Little pig replied, Master, don't worry. Although the spirit-seeking bug has no other uses, it is the #1 treasure-seeking bug on the Divine Supreme Continent. Any treasure it finds is of the highest grade. Hearing this, Qin Feng regained his spirits. He pretended to be calm and said, This green crane saber is indeed good. Unfortunately, the price is too high. It is beyond my budget. A trace of disappointment flashed in the waiter's eyes. It seemed that this huge transaction was not going to happen. Qin Feng pointed at the accessory hanging on the hilt of the green crane blade and continued, Ahem. But at least I've seen what the green crane saber looks like. This can be considered as my fate with this saber. I'd like to buy the pendant on the green crane saber as a souvenir. Is that okay? The waiter was stunned. He had worked in the Panshan Market's Xinghuan weapon workshop for more than 10 years, but this was the first time he had met such a strange customer. He didn't buy weapons but instead bought pendants for weapons. So this guy was a poor loser. Brother, our shop doesn't have that kind of rule. Sorry. The waiter's attitude changed and he no longer called Qin Feng Sr. In fact, he seemed a bit impatient. Qin Feng casually took out 100,000 superior-grade spirit stones and piled them up in the corner of the room. I'll pay 100,000 spirit stones for that pendant. I just want to keep it as a souvenir. In a few years I'll come here again. If this green crane saber is still here, I'll definitely buy it. The waiter stared at the pile of spirit stones in the corner. His small eyes shone brightly. To him, that accessory was worthless. It was just an ornament. In the end, the cultivator in front of him was willing to pay 100,000 spirit stones for it. This was even more generous than buying the green crane saber. Ah, Senior, please wait a moment. I'll bring a jade box over and help you pack the accessory. The waiter was a chameleon. However, Qin Feng did not care about this at all. Seeing that the strange token was in his hands, he was secretly excited. Soon, the jade box was brought over and the accessory was packed properly. Qin Feng took the jade box and turned to leave. Even the waiter could not keep up with his footsteps. What a strange person. Spending 100,000 spirit stones for a lousy ornament. Is his brain split by a sword? The waiter muttered as he looked at the spirit stones in his storage ring. He was secretly delighted. He planned to keep these 100,000 superior-grade spirit stones for himself. Later he would find a random jade pendant and hang it on the green crane saber. He believed that no one would notice. However, just as he was feeling pleased, a group of people rushed in. When the waiter saw this group of people, he was so scared that he immediately went to greet them. Elder Su, why are you here? The man in the lead looked to be in his 30s, but the waiter knew that he had eaten a beautifying pill. This person's actual age was probably over 100 years old. He was one of the elders of the Xinghuan sect. The Xinghuan sect was very famous in the entire South Flat state. It was a 6-star sect and a blacksmith sect. The Xinghuan weapon workshop was a business chain created by the Xinghuan sect, and its stores were almost all over the South Flat state. The Xinghuan weapon workshop in the Panshan market was not big, but it was not small either. Usually the elders of the sect rarely came. Today Su Wumian brought a group of disciples here. It was obvious that something big had happened. Did a batch of sabers arrive from the main workshop a few days ago? Su Wumian's face was cold. Her aura was as vast as the ocean. The waiter's body trembled uncontrollably. He immediately replied, Yes, Elder Su. Half a month ago, a batch of high-quality sabers arrived from the Xinghuan weapon workshop headquarters. Among them was a middle-grade immortal weapon, the green crane saber. Hearing green crane saber, Su Wumian's eyes lit up. Where's the saber? You didn't sell it, did you? The waiter realized that there was definitely something wrong with the green crane saber. He let out a long sigh of relief. Luckily, the stupid cultivator only bought the pendant and not the green crane saber. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to report to Su Wumian. Not sold, not sold. I'll take Elder Su to see the green crane saber now. The group went up to the second floor. Su Wumian saw the green crane saber immediately. Her face immediately darkened. What's going on? A pendant on the saber hilt? Pendant? The waiter's heart tightened. A trace of uneasiness rose in his heart. He immediately took out a jade pendant from his storage ring and smiled. Ah, Elder Su, the pendant is here. At that time I felt that the grade of this middle-grade immortal weapon was too high. Putting this jade pendant on it would lower the value of the green crane saber. So I removed the pendant. Slap. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Wumian slapped him. This seemingly simple move directly caused the waiter to do a backflip and fall to the ground. Don't play tricks with me. The pendant is a turtle plate. Where did you put it? Su Wumian roared like thunder. No matter how stupid the waiter was, he understood that the pendant on the green crane saber was definitely a treasure. No wonder the cultivator in front only bought the pendant and not the saber. At that time he thought the cultivator was stupid. But now the waiter suddenly realized that he was the big idiot. Elder Su, please spare my life. A cultivator in front spent 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to buy the pendant. I didn't touch a single spirit stone. I'll give it all to Elder Su. The waiter took out the spirit stones from his storage ring, but Su Wumian didn't even look at them. Su Wumian's expression was extremely cold, and with a wave of his sleeve, the waiter was sent flying into the wall. You idiot. That pendant is even more valuable than this green crane saber. You sold it for 100,000 spirit stones? Are you tired of living? Elder Su, this lowly one doesn't know. Please spare this lowly one. The waiter was dumbfounded. Wasn't it just an inconspicuous pendant? Did she have to make it sound so mysterious? At that moment, Su Wumian just wanted to slap the waiter to death. But he still wanted to keep the waiter alive because only the waiter had seen Qin Feng's face. Draw out the cultivator's face immediately. If you don't find him in the end, you will still die. Su Wumian's voice was cold. Qin Feng took the pendant and left quickly. By now he was already more than 10 streets away. He still didn't know that Xing Kuan had sent an elder to capture him. He also didn't know that the elder had already stepped into the body condensation realm. If he knew this, Qin Feng would have immediately escaped with the soaring cloud all. Qin Feng found that every street was filled with people. It was as lively as the new year. He didn't rush to ask others. Instead, he studied the token that he just got. Master, the system has found it. This is the shell of a level 9 spirit beast, the spirit tortoise. It is an extremely rare level 9 crafting material. Little Pig's voice suddenly sounded. Qin Feng was shocked. He didn't think that this inconspicuous black token was a level 9 material. He had forged a few cultivation weapons before, so he had some understanding of crafting materials. The main material he used to forge the supreme rank cultivation weapon was White Spirit's Feather. White Spirit's Feather was only a level 8 crafting material. The Spirit Tortoise's shell was a level 9 crafting material. Qin Feng even wondered if he could forge an immortal weapon with level 9 materials. But as soon as this thought popped up, it was ruthlessly extinguished by Little Pig. Master, don't think too much. Spirit beast materials can only be used to forge spiritual weapons and cultivation weapons. Only immortal beast materials can be used to forge immortal weapons or sacred weapons. Divine weapons can only be forged with divine beast materials. There was a lot of information in this explanation. Qin Feng suddenly realized that the beast race was divided into spirit beasts, immortal beasts, and divine beasts. In other words, the level 7 sea beast he encountered in the Fallen God Sea and the level 8 spirit beasts, the green-skinned snow devil and the white spirit divine bird in the secret territory of the White Spirit Mountain were only spirit beasts. However, a level 8 spirit beast was already comparable to an empty god stage powerhouse. If it was a level 9 spirit beast, it would probably have the strength of a body condensation realm cultivator. What about immortal beasts? How powerful were divine beasts? Before this, Qin Feng was still wondering how the great calamity of the beast race happened on the divine supreme continent 1,000 years ago. Only now did he realize the true strength of the beast race. At the same time, he also realized a serious problem. The Heaven Rainbow, in the system's limited edition interface, was an immortal weapon. In that case, didn't he have to find the main materials to forge the Heaven Rainbow from immortal beasts? Master, this level 9 spirit tortoise shell isn't as simple as it looks on the surface. There's a layer of divine sense seal on it, Little Pig said. Chapter 1854. Previously, Qin Feng realized that this turtle token had no spiritual qi at all. It was even worse than the lowest grade spirit stones in the divine continent. But now he understood that there was a spirit consciousness seal on the turtle token. When Qin Feng tried to break the seal, he realized that he couldn't do it at all. From the looks of it, The spirit consciousness on the turtle token was at least left behind by a hollow god or even higher cultivator. The grade 9 spirit turtle shell was originally a top-grade material for forging artifacts, and a powerful cultivator had even added a seal on it. Just what kind of secret was hidden inside? Qin Feng couldn't figure it out. Brat, raise your face. Just as Qin Feng put away the turtle token, a cultivator in a white robe with a starry sky embroidered on his chest pushed him. The cultivator held a portrait in his hand. He looked at the portrait and then at Qin Feng. It's not you. Go away. With that, he went to check on the next person. Qin Feng saw the portrait in the man's hand. It was his face. Although it was only 80% similar, he could still recognize it at a glance. What the hell are these people doing? Where are they from? Look at how crazy they are. Many cultivators who were checked were unhappy and grumbled. Someone said with a suppressed voice, "Lower your voices. Those masters are disciples of Shinkuan sect. Shinkuan sect is a 6-star sect in the South Flat Continent. Their Shinkuan weapon workshops are all over the South Flat Continent." When the identity of Shinkuan sect was reported, the people who were complaining immediately shut up. Qin Feng's heart was in turmoil. No matter how stupid he was, he could guess that Shinkuan sect was looking for him. The reason was most likely related to the level 9 spirit turtle shell. For a moment, Qin Feng was glad that he was careful. After leaving the Shinkuan weapon workshop, he immediately changed to Qiao Feng's identity. He didn't expect that this narrow-mindedness would actually save his life. However, he didn't understand. Since Shinkuan sect knew about the level 9 spirit turtle shell, why did the waiter still sell it to him? After selling it, they mobilized the entire city to search for him. Wasn't this just asking for trouble? No matter what, since he had obtained the level 9 spirit turtle shell, Qin Feng didn't plan on returning it. After all, only the waiter had seen his face. Now that he had changed to Qiao Feng's identity, he believed that Shinkuan sect wouldn't be able to find him. "Brother, are you also here to participate in the exploration of the 13 palaces?" A gray-haired old man in his 50s came over. Qin Feng was instantly on guard. He had just arrived at the South Flat Continent and didn't know anyone. It was definitely right to be on his guard. After sizing up the little old man, Qin Feng realized that the little old man had already stepped into the empty god realm. Because the little old man's aura was extremely similar to Bai Xiaofeng's, the two of them probably had similar cultivation bases. "What's the matter, senior?" This was the first time Qin Feng had heard of the 13 palaces, but he didn't ask too much. He didn't want to reveal that he wasn't a cultivator of the South Flat Continent. He suddenly realized something. Panshan City Square was filled with people. These cultivators were probably here to participate in the 13 palaces expedition. Little brother, there is no need to be nervous. I can see that you are alone. You should be a loose cultivator, right? Qin Feng nodded. The man's eyes flashed as he continued, "You must know that it is very difficult for loose cultivators to enter the 13 palaces unless they join a sect. Only then would they have a greater chance of entering the 13 palaces." Qin Feng had no idea what the 13 palaces were, but he didn't dare to ask. He felt that all the cultivators of the South Flat Continent should know about the 13 palaces. If he asked, his identity would be exposed. "What do you want to say?" Qin Feng pretended to be calm. "Let me introduce myself first. I am the Ancient Cauldron Sect's elder, Hong Fei. You should have heard of the Ancient Cauldron Sect. It is a 5-star sect in the Qingqing region." Qin Feng didn't know about the Ancient Cauldron Sect. He didn't even know where the Qingqing was. Hong Fei continued, "My sect has 50 slots to enter the 13 palaces. If you want to go, I can help you fight for one." "Why do you want to help me?" Qin Feng raised his eyebrows. Hong Fei smiled and said, "Of course I won't help you for free. Before I help you, you have to do me a favor. Follow me to an ancient martial relic. We will split the treasures we obtain. You don't have to worry about me having any ill intentions. This is because there are 7 people including you in the team. We don't know each other. If you are willing, we can set off now." Qin Feng's interest was piqued. He had always been interested in the ancient martial relic. Back in the northern Sand Continent, he had a fortuitous encounter in a few ancient martial relic. He even found the nature-defying creation of heaven and earth skill in the relic. However, Qin Feng was a little worried. Who knew if Hong Fei was telling the truth? After thinking for a while, he decided to follow Hong Fei. This was because he urgently needed an opportunity to break through. Only by quickly increasing his strength could he return to the northern Sand Continent to take revenge. They didn't speak along the way. Hong Fei brought Qin Feng out of the Panshan Market Square and into a straw hut in the wilderness. There were 5 people sitting in the hut, cultivating. When the 2 of them entered the hut, the 5 of them opened their eyes. Ah, sorry to keep everyone waiting. We have found the last explorer. We can set off now. The rules are the same as before. If we really find any treasures in the ancient martial relic, we will split them evenly. Does anyone have any questions? The few of them did not speak. It seemed like there were no questions. From the expressions of the 5 people in the hut, Qin Feng was sure that they did not know each other. However, there was a couple in the hut. When the 2 of them cultivated, they would sit together and cultivate. The 7 of them set off. Hong Fei led the way at the front while Qin Feng purposely walked at the back. If he felt that something was wrong, he could escape immediately. After a round of inspection, Qin Feng found out the cultivation of the 6 people. Among the 6 of them, Hong Fei had the highest cultivation. However, he was unable to determine which level of the empty god realm he was at. As for the other 5, they were all at the true spirit realm. The 4 male cultivators were all at the peak of True Spirit Realm 9 and only the female cultivator was at True Spirit Realm 4. Qin Feng was even more confused. He could not understand why Hong Fei would bring him, a Buddha Aura 7 Changes cultivator, into the team. Based on the overall strength of the team, he would be a burden if he were to join. Little brother, you are also a loose cultivator, right? On the way, a middle-aged man with a full beard took the initiative to speak to Qin Feng. Qin Feng nodded. The man continued, I am Black Pockmark, also a loose cultivator. Do you know Elder Hong Fei? I don't know him. He just pulled me here from Panshan Market, Qin Feng said truthfully. The man called Black Pockmark heaved a sigh of relief. He did not know Hong Fei and was pulled into the team at the last minute like Qin Feng. It seemed like he was prepared. When he found out that Qin Feng's situation was similar to his, he was slightly relieved. Then let's be companions. We can take care of each other, Black Pockmark said with a smile. This person had a fat head and big ears. He looked happy and his face was full of pockmarks. As for his name, Black Pockmark, it was probably a nickname. Qin Feng did not know his real name. Qin Feng would not let his guard down just because this person looked friendly. However, Qin Feng did not reject him since he took the initiative to be friendly. I am Xiao Feng. I came here in a hurry and did not ask about Elder Hong's situation. Where are we going to the ancient martial relic? I came here the day before yesterday. It is said that it is around Panlong Mountain. Elder Hong found an ancient martial relic there. It should be quite big. It is dangerous to go there alone, so he found a group of cultivators to go with him, Black Pockmark said. This was not the first time Qin Feng had been pulled into a team for an adventure. Back then he was pulled into a team by Han Shen and the others in the Violet Cloud Valley Mystic Realm. In the end, there was a 7-star formation there and Han Shen and the others had sent him to his death. Now that he had joined the team again, Qin Feng was always on guard. He always felt that Hong Fei was a little strange. This old man was not as kind as he looked. After talking about the team, Qin Feng intentionally or unintentionally brought the topic to Panshan Market. Actually, he wanted to ask about the 13 palaces, but he could not ask directly. Senior Black, why did you come to Panshan Market? Of course, I came to join the 13 palaces exploration team. I believe that all the cultivators who come to Panshan Market have the same goal. Brother Qiao is the same. Black Pockmark smiled. Qin Feng pretended to be calm and said, That's right. I was going to join the 13 palaces exploration team, but I didn't expect to join everyone's team. It's okay, Brother Qiao. The 13 palaces will open in a week. This time we will take at most 3 days. We will definitely make it in time. When Qin Feng heard that Black Pockmark planned to go to the 13 palaces, he was confused. He heard from Hong Fei that the exploration team that wanted to enter the 13 palaces needed to join a sect first. However, Black Pockmark said that he was a loose cultivator. How could he go to the 13 palaces? As if he saw Qin Feng's confusion, Black Pockmark smiled and said, Brother Qiao, we are the same. Didn't Elder Hong agree to give you a spot in the 13 palaces after the exploration? Qin Feng nodded, but he had some doubts in his heart. Although he did not know what kind of place the 13 palaces was, he could guess from the prosperity of Panshan Market that it was definitely a good place. The spots to enter this kind of place were very precious. Hong Fei was just a little elder of the ancient tomb sect. How could he have the authority to privately arrange this many spots? Although Qin Feng did not ask the other team members, he could guess that Hong Fei had promised them the same thing. This time it was 6 spots. Hong Fei had said that the entire ancient cauldron sect only had 50 spots. Senior Black, do you have confidence in the 13 Palaces exploration? Qin Feng put aside his messy thoughts. He wanted to find out more information about the 13 Palaces. Black Pockmark's always smiling face became serious. Brother Qiao, I won't hide it from you. I'm at the peak of the true spirit realm, so I can only protect myself in the 13 Palaces. The 13 Palaces have a total of 13 areas, and the deeper you go, the more dangerous it will be, but there will also be more treasures. My goal is to enter the third palace. I don't dare think about going deeper. That you're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.